Oh, well, compared to
Ooh, is that a sour?
That's a sour, all right.
Oh, is it?
A fruited sour.
No, when you compare it to this.
No, it is good. It's just, there's a lot happening.
Yeah, there's a lot in that.
It's so good because it's all those fruits, and then you get the aftertaste of a toasted coconut marshmallow.
Ooh.
Nice.
I like toasted coconut, not the marshmallow part.
I
What's
like
the fruit in it?
Coconut.
It's dragon fruit, passion fruit, mango, pineapple, pink guava, key lime, tangerine.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you could try, but it'll definitely mess up your.
Coconut always makes me feel like I'm eating suntan lotion.
Really? Oh, I guess I
Fair.
understand.
That kind of makes sense, actually. I kind of get that now that you say that. I'm never going to eat it the same way.
Sorry. I also hate the texture of coconut
Oh, I
flakes.
love everything coconut.
Everyone says the band is back together.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Our one-time reunion. I know.
Oh, you sound really cool. The hidden second date.
Yeah, she's so funny too. She makes such good stuff. Like such a good inventor. She was a person that went crazy viral a few years ago for making the truckla. She bought like a Tesla, and wanted it to be a pickup truck, and so she like jerry rigged the whole thing. Like sawed it, got people to like reinforce things in it, and her like actual Tesla, and built a like a truck bed in the back of her Tesla. And she drives it around, and she's like known. I think she's known in like she's known in like L.A. or San Francisco, wherever she lives, as having the truckla.
Where it's like
Funny.
the tech. Is that San Fran?
Yeah.
What is it called? The area, like the tech area is called.
Silicon Valley?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I was confused.
Aluminum.
I don't know how I know some things, but I can't explain them, so that's good. I just need you to translate.
There you go, it works.
Alright. It's been a while, so I got to work out some of these kinks. I think audio's working. Maybe? Hold on.
This could be for my middle name.
Ooh, nice.
There it is. I like when we made the connection.
That took me, like,
It just clicked.
25 minutes.
That's great.
Nope.
Mike.
I'm gonna say you're not gonna get it.
Oh, it's that unique.
Mm-hmm.
Boy's name too.
Why isn't that working?
Actually, it could be.
I feel like at some point I must have known.
I know.
So
I almost
I'm
said
trying to dig
Carlo,
deep
but that's
in my memory.
Can you imagine it was Hermione? That would be cool.
That would be really cool.
Since we share the same birthday.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that too.
Not my middle name.
Harry.
Yes. Kristen Harry.
Harriet.
No.
Weird. Okay, let me just change one thing.
I can't finish this whole thing.
That was big.
We got all the time in the world.
Gosh.
But don't force yourself.
I'm not going to.
Nice.
It's cool. We were talking when we were shopping. We're like, oh, we should get. Why isn't there a Harry Potter theme?
Yep.
Beers.
I think Warner Brothers is just holding that tight. They're not licensing much.
What?
But
Like,
I wonder how you
even
could go
butterbeer,
around
I
it.
feel like they should have something
Yeah, how do
out
they not
there in
have
the
these?
stores. Like,
Yeah.
How did they not have like? I mean, like this is an adult series now. How did they not have like
Yeah.
fire whiskey and all
Now?
that other stuff? Yeah, we've taken this over.
so how is it? Yeah, I don't know how they're not. Now maybe they'll do a little bit more as the series comes out. But even Game of Thrones had a couple different things. They had
Really?
beer, they had whiskey.
I don't know why. Why haven't they done that?
So
That'd be
how
so
is
smart.
Harry Potter
And
not?
there's so much alcohol in the.
so much. It's not that much, but
No, there is.
I
A
mean, yeah, it
decent
comes up
amount.
here and there.
Yeah.
With,
What do they have? Fire whiskey, Ogden's. That's Ogden's fire whiskey.
Ogden's Fire Whiskey, yeah.
Butterbeer.
And then brandy is mentioned.
Yeah.
What can the horses drink? Is that only whiskey?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
how great it's gonna be.
Can you guess what it is?
Yeah.
Single malt whiskey.
Single malt whiskey. Makes sense.
That's just a general whiskey.
Wait, what?
I'm saying. No, I'm just saying that's not a name of a whiskey. That's just a type of whiskey.
Yeah.
Were you paying attention when we were in Scotland? What is single malt?
Yeah, it means it came from one
Oh, nice. Look
One
at you.
batch.
Yeah, they're picky horses.
Really?
They won't do blended.
Oh yeah.
Then
Yeah.
Because blended is from other places or other batches. Come on. See, I was paying attention.
Yeah.
Johnny Walker. That was cool.
Okay, let me try to figure out sort of poll, sort of Q&A.
Do I need that closer? Probably.
Maybe.
Almost always.
Let's see if that works.
And then up a little bit, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I think that's good.
Everyone that's watching, if I
Thanks.
do that, this is a poll. No, this is a what is this called?
Oh my gosh. So at the school the other day, I never wear my hair down. So for the first time I wore it down, it's like every once in a blue moon. I had 2 teachers think that I was a student.
No.
One of them, we were in the library, and the one there, she walked over and she's like, because the kids were like supposed to be gone, and she was like, "Oh, what do you do? Oh, Kristen, I thought you were."
And there are people who even knew you?
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
and then one of the other aides that I see all the time, she was behind me, and she's like, all I hear is, Kristen? And I turn around, and she's like, "Oh, it is you. I wasn't sure." She's like, "You look like a kid."
Oh my god.
I was like,
But
"You
the
do realize
difference-
you're saying that I look 13.
Right, that's pretty
That's
intense.
a great compliment.
Is it?
Yes, you're gonna love it.
At 37?
It means you haven't aged at all, Kristen.
I guess so. I mean, I'll take it, but I was like, that's a little extreme.
I get what you're saying. I find it funny that with your hair down, it's more than with your hair up.
I know.
What?
Well, I mean, if I went to school looking like this, then obviously I would look like one. But, like,
you
know, I have it like professionally up, like nicely.
like dance.
Like dance?
From
Yeah,
dance
yeah.
days.
Yeah, pretty much.
Why in
Like-
dance do you have to like...
Oh, you gotta
It's,
slick
like,
it back.
perfect
Yeah, it's
hair.
gotta be no bumps, slicked.
Pretty intense.
Yeah.
Dance is intense.
Yeah.
Gotta be
And
just
then I
right.
get like the hairnet for the bun, so nothing like fell out of the bun,
Oh yeah,
and it's pinned in there. Ugh.
bobby pins. Yeah, it was the worst when you would like shove the bobby pin in. I mean, you could always take it out and fix it, but you would like get a spot where it would just hit your head
Oh gosh.
a weird way.
Yep.
Yep.
Sometimes you wouldn't notice it at first, and then later you're like, why do I have a headache?
Yep.
Oh, the bobby pin.
Happens. I did an
Digging in there.
updo, and my middle school graduation was a big deal because everyone went to different high schools after.
Uh-huh.
So I did a hairdo, and back then, like, remember when like the butterfly clips and
Oh
like
my
all the
gosh,
little
yes.
things? But I had like the fancier ones for like dressing up, and
Yeah.
they put it throughout my head in an updo. My head hurt so bad. You know when you take it out and the relief, but it feels like
It
everything
hurts
is still in there.
It's like a
Yeah.
face
I
there.
probably I probably had like 1,000 bobby pins in there too, plus the decorative
Yikes.
ones. I'll never forget. That was my worst thing. You're like, I just can't wait to take my hair out.
Right? Yeah. It's the
That's
worst.
so great.
If you're like sucking it up because it looks cute.
Yeah, you're like, it looks so good.
Does it?
Back then it did.
Yeah, it's true. It was such a.
Butterfly clips were
Oh
the
my
bomb.
gosh, such a thing. And they're back.
All right. I think we are all
yeah.
set.
Like the kids look like us.
I know.
I still remember those
Back
butterfly
in
clips.
the day, and they wear the choker
them in
collars
my
and
room.
stuff.
Yeah.
Everything
Wait,
that
choker things
Chokers are
Yeah.
back?
I've seen, yeah, they
Yeah.
are.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I see high
Back and forth.
schoolers
We
walking
used-
around like, what the
We used to
heck?
cut our tights and wear it as a choker.
Wow.
That was like the
What?
dancer thing. Oh yeah, that was like the cool dancer thing. Cut black
yeah,
tights,
yeah.
like a strip. If there was holes,
my gosh,
you're like, oh
that
nice, I
is
can make a choker now.
so
I'm like,
funny.
put it
That
on
is
as the
pretty
black
funny.
choker.
Hmm.
I don't know who came up with that, but
So I remember people would have like butterfly clips, like 30 in their hair, all like going back. to-
Line 'em up.
Yeah, especially if it was an updo. That was like the thing.
Oh, yeah.
We had like a bunch of them in
Yeah.
there. I had all of them.
yeah. Did you ever put them in your brother's hair? I have a picture of my younger brother.
Probably.
He was not that young, and
Not that
His-
bad.
Forcing into it.
his head was just
We used to do
Covered
my
in them.
dad's hair. Like that was like a fun
Nice.
activity at night. The girl, like my sister and I, and
Yeah.
we definitely put it in his hair.
that's so cute.
Oh, that was funny. Then we had other things like these springs. I don't know why I thought this was a good idea. They were like, do you remember the
Oh.
springs on the end had gems or something?
Yes, I never
and you
used them.
pulled it apart and then put it in your hair. To imagine taking that
Yeah, that
out.
That
seems-
sounds terrible.
Yeah.
I used to do it.
Seems
I was
detrimental
like,
to your
oh my
hair.
gosh,
Oof.
it was worth it.
Yeah, well.
All those stupid things were worth it.
Hmm.
I just can't believe I'm old enough for it to be coming back and stuff.
I know, it's weird.
It's so weird. And the sweater vests. I'm
Ugh.
like, oh my,
Wait, they're back too?
yeah. Where have you been?
I don't know. Not near sweater.
Where you
I
been?
guess, but-
I mean, they were. I'm not sure about this fall, but it's been slowly coming back. I thought.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think my dad's been riding some of those waves for a long time. He never left, but
Yeah, exactly.
He's full
Back in
circle.
fashion.
He's like, all right.
We're
Walking
back.
around, everyone's like,
He's
man.
like, I've been holding on to
looking
fanny
good."
packs forever. So for the few years where fanny packs were in their prime again, he's like, oh, all right.
They're practical.
It is great.
That's really funny.
All right, you guys want to talk Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's finish it up.
I'm not gonna remember anything.
I need a lot of refreshers.
Yeah,
I think.
we'll give you.
That's right. Danny and John can carry this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As usual.
We'll
No.
just support.
All right. Let's do our final little intro. Welcome to the podcast. I'm John,
Jen.
Danny.
And Kristen.
and this is Harry Potter and the First Time Readers.
Whoa.
That can't be our last one.
Well, a lot of people submitted tons of questions for you guys. So
Whoa.
we did a few before, but I still want to go over some of these other ones that we'll probably kind of talk through. And to start off, one of the most popular and common questions that we got was just, do you guys like Harry as a character? Actually, hold on, time out. Let's start with this question, even a more basic question than that. Did you guys like the series?
Yes.
I loved the series. You liked it.
And you loved it.
Yeah. Cheating answer, but yeah.
I think it was so hyped up though
Yeah.
that I don't know what I was expecting. I enjoyed it. It was
I
great.
mean, yeah, it was hyped up for you, and we were doing literally a podcast about it, getting to the end of it. So when it got to the end of it, I could imagine in some way it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. That was kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it was good. It was a great
'Cause it
series
was
that, like,
paced,
wasn't life-changing.
Like, yeah.
Hmm.
So maybe if it was faster paced, I don't know. But then I wouldn't have gone to like dig into all the
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
nitty gritty stuff.
Yeah. And you sacrifice, again, everyone thanks you guys because you sacrificed your reading experience for all of us so we could vicariously live through you. So that was huge.
Yeah. No, it's been fun. And I'm glad I know how it ends.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to.
You
tiptoe
finally
around
got
spoilers.
there.
I don't know how I survived this long,
I know, seriously.
but I did it.
How about Harry as a character? Do you guys like Harry as a character?
Yeah.
I think majority, yes. There was one book that he was so annoying,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't remember.
Probably the fifth one.
I don't remember.
I was just gonna say fifth
Order of
book.
Phoenix is usually the books that he's annoying in, where he's like moody all the time,
Yeah.
and grumpy, and
that was probably
like
it then.
snapping at Hermione and
Yep,
Ron.
not being a good friend.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah,
Order of the Phoenix was, I don't remember.
yeah,
Yeah.
But-
After Cedric died, I feel like it
Oh,
was kind of like
yeah, like a
it affected
depressed.
him a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
And that's when, yeah, okay. I think so. What about you?
I feel like I always liked him. Like you said, moments that I wasn't his biggest fan. But with all you guys to keep me in check, Kristen would always say, he's a teenager. Give him a 14 or whatever.
I know that was good.
Because it was easy to forget his age or situation and just be judgy.
Thank you.
So yeah, I did like him as a character though, and then especially seeing his whole arc, I feel like it was very satisfying, and I feel like it was good. Every character has to have a bit of growth, low moments, high moments,
and even Kristen, from meeting it from like for a second time, did your opinion of Harry change at all?
Not really. I didn't really have a strong opinion of him.
Yeah.
To begin with.
Yeah, for sure.
To be honest, I didn't really like.
So funny.
Well, I didn't like pick apart the series like that when I was watching the movies because that's what I knew.
Oh right.
I just liked the storyline as a whole, I guess.
Right.
So, but yeah, I like him. It's nothing like over the top.
Yeah, for sure. Weirdly, I think the more someone reads the series, the more they actually really love Harry. So the first time I read it, I remember being like, "Oh, he's like a cool character. I really like him." And every single time that I read it now, I'm like more and more impressed of a character, like how he is as a character.
Well, because it's like subtle maturing right from the beginning to the end. So I guess when you can keep reading it, you start seeing that more and more.
Yeah, and like how sacrificial he is, how brave he is, how like even though he's a crap friend in certain parts, how good of a friend he is toward people that he loves, like how much he cares about people. Like it's all in there. He struggles with getting it out, but when he does get it out, he's like an exceptional person. Becky and Chewie both kind of asked this question, or this is one of Chewie's questions is for Danny. Have you located Hogwarts yet? When you guys went to Scotland,
You looked so hard. Although it's funny, actually being in Scotland, I feel like took away some of that fun because like it was a blast to be there because it was so magical everywhere, but it's not that big of a country, so it actually made it harder to picture Hogwarts in a place like that. Like leading up to it, I don't know. Well, maybe you didn't feel the same way, but I pictured it being more like out in the middle of nowhere. Even Loch Ness, we stayed in a little castle on the south end of the lake, you know, likely Hogwarts location. Cool. And I was like, it's weird that the whole lake is settled already. Yeah. You know, like people and towns and everywhere you go, even in remote places, you're still seeing like homes and stuff. You're never that far from civilization. We didn't go to the farthest extent of everything though.
That's why.
And that's it. And there were parts in the Northeast we didn't go to where it could be those snow-capped mountains that Harry and Ron flew over. So
it looks like.
Oh yeah.
Like I just don't get how you said that you can't.
Well, it just
I can't picture it. I'm like, how? Everything there screams like this whole scenery from Harry Potter.
Yeah. Well, you know, part of it was the scale. It felt like a very cozy place.
Yeah, but the whole point is you can't see it.
That is true. But
so
Hogwarts, in what we've seen, would be a castle 5 times bigger than any castle we saw in Scotland. So the scale of Hogwarts almost feels...
What if it's floating on its own little area?
Whoa, floating in its own... Well, I mean, honestly, maybe that's part of the magic of the whole thing. It's so big, but I think it was just hard to picture anything of that scale there. Even in Edinburgh, where they have a very large castle on a hill and the whole city is built around it, that castle was tiny in comparison to anything that resembles Hogwarts. So that was the only part where it was hard to actually picture, and then it just made me want to read the history of magic all the more, because there could be an explanation for it easily, and obviously it is magic. So I don't need to be able to find it in the real world.
You're not going to.
There was a disconnect. That's all I'm saying. And I was hoping I'd walk
It
on some
was
random
so
location
magical.
and be like, this is where Hogwarts needs to be. But I didn't find any spot like that.
It was magical.
It was very
loved
magical, though, for sure.
And you're there, and you're just like, wow, I could see J.K. taking everything in and writing it in her book.
That's what I felt like in
Yep.
Edinburgh.
That's cool.
It was
Edinburgh.
really cool.
That was like the coolest thing. It just felt like Hogwarts. Felt like all of her inspiration was coming from that
Especially
city.
when we were next to the hotel where you said that she wrote some of it in.
Oh, yeah.
And you look across, and it was so cool.
Like looking back at
At
the
the
city
castle,
from where she
yeah.
wrote the seventh book. Yeah. It,
Or even the castle with the arena, like, set up.
oh, yeah.
The stadium seating they do every summer, and then they have flags at the top of the stadium. It literally looks like a
Oh,
Quidditch
wow.
match.
It really
So
does.
cool.
And
That's
one of
really
the
cool.
tourers that were going passing us said that, like, she was inspired
So cool.
by
All
the
flags
setup.
popping up,
And
yeah.
I'm like,
wow.
it literally is exactly that in the movies and in her books.
Yep, you're right.
I mean, flipped, but whatever.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, that was really cool to be like, oh my gosh, it's real life.
Yep.
How about this question? In the books, there's a lot of people who die in the books. Who did you think was the saddest death? Like, who's
Dobby.
Dobby's? Really?
That was the saddest.
Mm.
Who else? Because Dumbledore died.
Yeah,
Why are you laughing?
there's a few. So, I mean, you had Dumbledore, you had Fred, Tonks, Lupin, Cedric,
I think I was the saddest for
Moody,
his.
Dobby, Harry, kind of.
But Moody could still
Honestly,
be alive, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we never got that confirmed for sure.
I don't think.
Mine is based off the movies. Mine was Cedric.
Oh, interesting.
In the movies, I think his is actually the saddest.
Yeah.
Cedric's or
It was so
Hedwig's is
anti.
weirdly sad in the movies
Ooh.
too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I feel like Cedric's was almost anticlimactic in the books because I felt so strongly in that during the movies.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Oh,
oh man,
you
this part is
expected-
coming up.
yeah.
And I thought it was like going to be super emotional. And if I'm remembering correctly,
Yeah.
it wasn't.
I mean, yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would. Yeah, I think so. That's the first death in the book.
Yeah, Cedric's pretty
Yeah.
much the first
Yeah.
death. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially by something evil, not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's like other deaths that happen in the books before that. But yeah, his is the actual first real death, like of a character that we kind of know.
And I think I said it during those recordings. I feel like the pain of Cedric's death followed us for another book after that. So we got to unpack that as Harry did. And that made the pain of it feel more substantial because it was the first one. I feel like Dumbledore's death was probably the biggest impact.
It was more annoying, I think.
Yeah, to be honest, yeah.
Yeah, fair. There were elements of that. And Dobby, of course, Fred.
I think Dobby was the worst though because he was like just freed. He was just so excited. He had this whole new life. He's like this innocent creature that's just trying to help.
And it was shocking, the whole, like... ugh.
And like he was just helping, which
Yep.
I mean, I guess they all were helping, but like I don't know.
It happened too fast.
And his whole character was just like, it was just sweet, like something innocent. I feel like is more hurtful, like seeing them die or get hurt or anything.
Yeah.
Than
yeah.
Because he's like
But
he's like the epitome of just an innocent character. Him and Con Creevy and Dennis Creevy, like all that, the whole,
Oh, yeah.
all three of them are just the innocent,
Yeah.
fun-loving people. And yeah, his death kind of hits you because of that. It just kind of crushes you a little bit.
they're all sad, but I think that one got me the most.
Yeah.
Mm.
You'd probably be in the majority there. I would say the majority of people who answer that question would probably say Dobby's as well. I think that's like the most devastating one for fans.
Mm.
And speaking of
I
fans,
don't think
there's
I was
another question that came in.
expecting it.
What do you guys think of the fandom now that you've finished the books? Do you think it's like, especially that you guys saw, we went to King's Cross on September 1st. You saw like the fans in full force.
I'm not one of them.
You can't you can't claim that now, honey.
Yeah, seriously.
You're in it. You're a bigger fan than me.
But it is funny. I still feel like a bit of imposter syndrome about it, where some people are such big fans that I feel like it's different for us, or we're still new fans, especially compared to people who have been fans for, a decade. Then it still feels funny to be around people, or it also feels like I have to hold back a little bit, because in a lot of environments, I'm still getting so excited about these things, and people are like, what are you, nuts? Like, this is old news. So it is a funny dynamic, but I do think all the fans in general are pretty cool. It's like a welcoming fandom, everyone's excited.
Yeah.
Anyone who's a fan is just so happy to have other people who also are fans.
It really is, I think, one of the best fandoms in the world. Star Wars is so divisive for certain things.
Yeah.
Harry Potter is becoming a little divisive for the series that's coming out. But it still is just like a very warm, welcoming fandom compared to other ones, where it's like you jump in and people are just happy to have you. The first question they're asking is like, what house you're in, and like that's all they care about.
And I do think that's a fascinating part of the fandom, that it goes beyond the story itself. Where it feels like in a lot of fandoms it is so based on the story. Star Wars, you might get in debates about different things, but in Harry Potter, at a certain point, the story of Harry Potter is not what people are talking about.
Yeah.
It's the houses and it's the world that they're talking about. And I think that is a kind of endearing, cozy, warm fandom.
Yeah, it's a great point. Like, it's the world that she's built out that fans are really attracted to now. Like, they love the story, which actually is another interesting question. This is one of the biggest ones that people talk about. If you were in charge of an HBO series that wasn't on Harry Potter, but it was something in the wizarding world, what would you guys make? Like, what part of the wizarding world would you want to go into? A lot of people say the Founders. I'll give you a few examples. A lot of people say the Founders. They would love a Founder series. A lot of people say the Marauders. They would love a series on the Marauders. A lot of people talk about like a CSI kind of show with Harry Potter, or like like a cops with like the Aurors or something like that.
Oh man.
My instinct would be to make the world much bigger and see wizarding elements in other parts of the world. But I think if I had time to plan it all out, that would betray part of the magic of Harry Potter, because you never want to lose that coziness. So even with the HBO series, I get excited about some of the things they can explore. The Founders feels perfect because you can do a lot and it connects really easily to the world we already know, and there's some nice threads you can pull there. But I think the Marauders would be tough, because you're gonna be stepping on some toes as soon as you do that, because you're affecting the way someone already pictures a character maybe. Oh man, that'd be tough. But I feel like, what?
You know what I picture the Marauders as? More of a sitcom. Totally change the entire vibe.
Wow, that's funny.
That would be great.
Because you've got that camaraderie. Make it totally new, and don't come at it like trying to recreate Harry Potter, but make it funny. They're funny.
Yeah.
Like they were.
And they're all boys.
Yeah, they were always getting into trouble. Like.
Yep.
I don't know. I feel like that would be fun, just to like make a fun side thing instead of it being so like serious, because the books get very serious.
Right. I could actually kind of see that. Even the stuff with Snape took it as his worst memory, but you could actually picture that from the other perspective, not feeling as intense as it did from Snape's side. So I could see that being kind of like a rom-com high school vibe, or even a sitcom. I feel like that'd be cool. But there are so many other parts of the world that I'm not sad, but in a sense sad she didn't explore. So if there were other things like separate from Harry Potter, I feel like it would just be so cool to explore things she barely hinted at.
Yeah.
Other schools would be easy, and you would have complete freedom over the story. So it'd be fun to explore that.
That's why I was just talking to someone. I want a whole series about Ilvermorny.
Yeah.
Like
that feels like
it's a blank slate. You could do whatever you want with it. Writers are like salivating over something like that.
And as long as you keep it contained, because that's my biggest fear with HBO and everything, you don't want it to turn into, well, no hate on Marvel, but just the idea that when you see enough of these movies, everyone gets a little bigger. The enemies get a little more powerful. And then soon it's not some guy trying to blow up a city or kill one person. Now it's deities fighting over galaxies, and you're like, what are we even doing anymore? Yeah. And that can happen so quickly with Harry Potter if you're not careful. And in the scale of some of these other types of movies we've seen, Harry Potter still can feel a little bit small, but when you're within the story, it doesn't feel small. It feels like the whole world is at stake, and you could do that again easily with each of the schools. Because in the end, none of the other schools even came to help Hogwarts with this, right? Like,
or like
I'm trying to picture that, but
exactly.
It was still kind of isolated
very
to one
contained.
school.
It would be fun to see like a Durmstrang one of Grindelwald.
Yeah,
like what he went through at Durmstrang. Like, what the students thought of him. If he got a lot of people on his side, it'd be kind of interesting, I think.
Agreed.
And then speaking of even villains, what do you guys think of Voldemort as a villain? Like, in your media expertise of like watching all these movies and seeing like reading books about villains, like, you know, there's so many great villains out there. What do you think of Voldemort and how he stacks up? Do you think he's actually the main villain of this story?
Whoa.
Because I mean like there's the obvious one of Umbridge. People say Umbridge is actually a worse villain.
Yeah, I saw something Stephen King
said she was the worst.
Whoa.
Yeah. I think he said that she's like the best written villain since like Hannibal Lecter or something weird.
Oh my gosh. Whoa.
Which is so funny because she just never seemed that bad to me. And I feel bad even saying that.
Here we go again.
I was like anti.
And I'm just like, whatever.
Anti-Umbridge.
Hey, what was that in again? What book was this?
She was in the 5th and the 7th.
That's the Order. No.
Yeah, Order of the Phoenix. And
that's why. I didn't like Harry or her in this.
Yeah, and it makes it hard to read that book because you're like in pain reading her antics there. So
that's true. I'm surprised you guys didn't talk about the wands. That you would like more info on the wand history.
Well, fair point.
I was like,
now that you mention it. Honestly, a whole series about that would be so fascinating.
I was like that's definitely coming up as the first thing you guys say.
So that to me doesn't seem like an HBO series. That seems like a YouTube series where a guy makes wands and it's like a 40-minute long video and there's no music. He doesn't talk. He's sitting there just whittling a wand, and I'm just,
I love it.
I can't look away from it.
I feel like you're talking about a series you're gonna do.
You know that like something like that exists with violin making, and it's like
I'm sure it does.
You know how many series exist like that on YouTube?
Well, you enjoy that.
I know.
It's just someone making something, and they spend the whole video is like an hour and 20 minutes, and it's just like them making like a pencil, and I can watch those for hours.
But someone's making the wands.
So great. Yeah,
who makes the wands?
That is a perfect YouTube.
And where does the magic come from?
Exactly. I want to see how they embed the magic on there.
I would love like a deep dive in all the characters, like their backgrounds.
Yeah, seriously.
Yep.
Like history of their childhood and how they grew up and where they went to school and all the things.
I feel like it brings up a weird question of what you can do with a story and when it starts to take away from the original story. If you make more stories that either are before or after the one we already love, does it have to tie into that story or can it be separate? And if it's separate, does it take away from the story we love? I don't know.
I don't think so.
I kind of go back and forth.
But I love to know why, so that's why I would enjoy the background stories of all of them. But isn't there a series or something that has just like spin-offs that are just on like one character that don't necessarily tie in, but like you can kind of understand a personality that you see in the main?
That's what a lot of the fan fictions go into. Which is, I mean, that leads into two other questions that I have for you guys. Which smaller character would you like a series about, or like would you like another book about? And then on top of that, if the series is written from another character's perspective, which character would you want that to be? Ooh. So do the first one. We'll do the first one first. Which
Hermione's parents.
Ooh.
Like They're letting their daughter go to
Honestly.
a world that they know nothing about.
Yeah.
It's because I was watching Transylvania.
I don't know enough about what happens in that.
It's like a human falling in love with a vampire.
That's great.
And then Transylvania 2 talks about being married. And that's why it was on my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, Hermione's parents have no clue about this world. And when they come visit, what does that feel like? And they're okay with her not knowing what she's doing. And she's wasting her smarts and talent.
Yeah.
Like, all the things.
And I feel like she doesn't talk about them much at all. So it is kind of funny. You could do anything with that.
Yeah.
And,
It wouldn't affect the
I'd be
story.
really
I don't
curious,
think.
yeah.
That's my answer.
I love it. It's a great answer. It's an unexpected answer too.
You know,
It's only because I watched that thing.
I feel like Xenophilius Lovegood maybe would be my side character that could do a good story. I think Luna is the main focus there, but she doesn't have to be the main character of this story.
Yeah.
But I would love to see
Yeah.
him from his youth.
That'd make like a
through
good
his
musical.
love life and whoa, nice.
What?
That'd be great. A
Like a
musical.
Xenophilius Lovegood would be
Oh,
like a good
that's
musical
funny.
of his like life and upbringing.
And because he's a rapper, XL, so you know,
Exactly.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
Hamilton vibes.
Yeah, so I feel like that would be a good one. Wait, what was the second question?
If one character could rewrite the series, or if you could
from
rewrite
their
it from one
perspective.
perspective of another
So it's got to
character.
be close enough
Oh.
to the story. I think for the sake of things, it would be fun, a little George R.R. Martin vibe of from an evil character's perspective.
Ooh.
I'm just trying to think of what evil character is evil, but you could relate to. So Mrs. Malfoy would be an interesting one.
That would be
She's
great.
involved in a lot of the darkness, but she's got good in her.
Yeah.
So as far as a real, like, actual thinking of it,
Dang.
leading up to the moment where she sees Harry and doesn't know if he's dead or alive, and then decides to be good, so to speak, I think that would actually make for a fascinating story, but you'd still get exposure to a lot of already the story we like. So that could be a good one, but I'm trying to think if there are other characters from the darker side of things. But we would still see the same thing.
I feel like from a darker side of things, like Voldemort, that you don't know what's the story from his perspective. Umbridge, same thing.
Yeah.
Like Bellatrix would be like, you know, erotic fiction. That'd be like weird. And then I think Mrs. Malfoy would be the greatest person on the dark side to have their account of things.
Yep.
Like especially everything they went through as a family, like letting
Yeah.
up her son, all that kind of stuff. I think that'd be great.
Right. And the unbreakable bond and moments like that.
Jen, you look like you have a great thought.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
what
not
are you
sure it's
thinking?
that great, but the Sirius's black brother that passed away because he flipped Regulus. That would
really
be
good story. You're
so
right.
cool to see him on the dark side and then come to reality and see that it was
That would be
Oh,
so
there would be
good.
so many intense moments
I
in
know.
that would be really
and then
cool.
Creature would be in
They
it
must do that in
too.
HBO, right? Turning some of this into a whole season.
Yes, because I'm a TV producer. I know all of these things.
Like they're gonna definitely go into that.
I
Right?
hope.
Ugh.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe they
everyone
will
wants
because
them
you're
to.
talking about it.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
If like people who are like diehard Harry Potter fans, we don't necessarily want another Harry Potter series. We want all the extra stuff.
Like
we want
spin-offs.
Yep.
spin-offs.
Yep.
It's all I want right now. Like I'm
I know,
not
because it's
complaining
kind
about
of
the Harry
like
Potter
scary if it's how is it gonna turn out?
know.
Are we gonna
We're
like it? Is the
there's a
acting
difference-
like gonna be
Yeah.
good enough?
I do think there's going to be a difference because for like for Star Wars, their original media was the 3 Star Wars movies that came out, and so like that's what their canon was built off of. For Harry Potter fans, we have the books. When the movies are coming out simultaneously with it, we realize that there's a huge discrepancy. It's like the Game of Thrones series. Like people loved it, but toward the end they were like, "Oh, this is nothing like, the books aren't even out yet." So it's like even different from that. With this one, it's like there's such a discrepancy between the movies and the books that fans were like excited to get another piece of media that's like Harry Potter related.
Yeah.
But we're not all of our like eggs aren't in this basket because the books have already come out and people who are diehard book fans are like, we already have this. This is okay. We want spin-off series and that's like the best thing that you could do. But if the series comes out and it bombs, that's okay. If this series comes out and it does great, that's even better. We would be really excited if it did.
I guess in a way, it's like they can maybe go dive deeper into each book, which is something I always wanted after watching the movies.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Just hopefully they do it well.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I'm sure they will.
We're all a little
'Cause
nervous,
she's a part of the producing.
Yeah, she
right?
is.
She's a producer.
Which
helps
the
to-
things canon, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be.
Although her other book has a series too. Her other series.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Because
you can
I'm on
dive
the
in
second book.
And
And she has it on Amazon.
It's really a TV series?
Yeah, BBC.
No way.
Yeah.
BBC too. I gotta check that out. I've heard it's great. The Strike series or whatever.
Yeah, Cormoran Strike.
Mm.
It's totally different than
Yeah.
I cannot get over it's the same author. She wrote similar, but it's not a kid's book. So.
Yeah.
Not a kid's book.
And I felt like she was really throwing it in there, look, I'm not a kid's book writer. So that was kind of funny. But it is good.
What is your guys' favorite spell in the wizarding world?
Oh, I don't remember any of them.
No. Well, if you do remember, that must be your favorite.
Lumos.
Nice.
No,
Great one.
Expecto
Most
Patronum,
practical.
obviously.
You could do
Classic.
Lumos with your phone.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, Siri.
Yeah.
Okay, Google. Lumos.
All right, but first you'll have to unlock your device.
Well,
There you
So
go.
lame.
Oh,
I
it
don't.
worked. I couldn't even see it. All right, nice. I'm glad.
You're so magical.
So magical. I feel like the first that comes to mind is Expelliarmus because Harry says it so many times. And I do kind of like it. It is a very Harry spell. It is enough to win a battle, but you're not killing anybody. There's not a lot of creativity to it, though.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I feel like I wish we knew more of the spells that wordless magic Dumbledore is doing.
What's about the Bogart one? What was that one?
You got this.
Yeah.
You can get this.
You get
I
it.
know
Come
you
on.
can.
Oh gosh, it was
I say it
crazy.
sometimes when I accidentally
yeah,
say
because
the
it's like a word,
and
and then
I
it's
say it.
It's crazy. It's absurd. It's an absurd little word. It's
like excited. No, it's like. You guys are quizzing.
Come on, you got it.
I know. Just
I'll
come
cut
back
out
to
all the
me.
blank space,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it looks like
right,
you get
right.
it right away.
It's like. I know it's an E, right? No.
Not an E. But I think you can picture it.
It's absurd that you can't get it. It's
I know it's like
Crazy.
an everyday
Crazy.
word that you would kind of use, right?
I think you are going to get it at some point. But we can come back to it.
yeah. We'll come back to it. Just keep thinking. In the middle of one
Or
of
we
the
can tell
questions,
you if
Jen's
you really
gonna go.
want us to, but-
It's
Yeah.
What the heck? Do you know it?
I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
I got lost in this. And I just realized I did this row wrong, so I'm taking it out. What are you
Oh.
talking about?
Nice that you can undo a row. And,
Yeah, it's pretty fun when you get to do it. But
Kristen,
depressing.
what's your
The-
favorite spell?
Yeah.
No laughing at this. Everyone has a favorite spell.
Ridiculousness.
yeah.
Nice.
Yay!
I love that.
Ridiculousness.
What did I add to it?
The nest part.
Oh, yeah, because I like that one. We were doing it and stuck that way.
Yep.
I was trying to figure that one out for this
Yeah.
silent time. They were quizzing me.
I don't even know if I had I don't know. No spells stuck out to me. It's like, I love that spell.
Right. Well, I mean, honestly, that's fair.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Sorry, guys.
How about just like a random bit of magic, not even just a spell? Like, is there a bit of magic in the series that you guys thought was the coolest bit? I mean, like the Patronus to me is one of the obvious ones where I think that is one of the
Oh,
coolest
yeah,
bits of
that
magic
one
that exists
is
in Harry Potter.
really neat.
That one really sticks with me because not only was it cool in its own way and influential to the story, But I just love that there's such an emotional element to it. I feel like it lets us know how some spells are done. Because otherwise you're just kind of like, well, why do they have to learn? What are they doing? They're just flicking wands around. Is it how you move the wand? Is it whatever? And I feel like that spell took it to a new level of the emotion behind the spell. It made it feel more complex, and it was so fun seeing Harry be so good at something where you can really get psyched about him being the chosen one. So yeah, obviously it has a lot of heft to it. I'm trying to think through other parts of the magic world. That
I forgot what the question was because you talked a lot.
Well, what's your favorite spell? That was where it started. This will be most over here. And then like what other like
I
bits
got
of
lost.
magic in
You're
the
just
world?
so like I get like stuck lost in your world, your train of thought.
Positive now? Okay, yeah.
It was a positive.
Okay, good.
I just don't remember the question.
Yeah.
What was the question?
What bits of magic do you love in the world?
Oh yeah, I know. It's so cute. You just go on and on about one little thing. It's
well,
adorable.
I hold back because I don't want to bore you with it all day.
No,
every day, so
you're not boring me.
Now I'm just like
everyone
letting it
loves
out.
your stuff, and they want to hear all the ins and outs. Bit of magic. What are those dead horse things? Were interesting.
You got this.
Oh gosh, another quiz.
They're thestrals. We're not trying to quiz you.
Oh, nice.
Those are some of my favorite.
But the dead
parts,
horse
too.
things are pretty cool.
Oh, and I love the creatures like Buckbeak and stuff. I find that like so
Well, I was
fascinating.
going to say, you're right. The creatures do have quite a
Unicorns. Oh,
Love them. Like the Care of Magical Creatures class would be so fun.
So fun.
I just
See,
and
I'm-
like learning the powers behind them because some of them have like special gifts, and if you could tap into them, I don't know.
Why? What? Kristen?
Sorry,
I'm
Not
more
into it.
no.
What got you?
I'm just more character driven
Yeah.
because I'm like I know it's like about magic, and I'm like I couldn't give. I don't care
Yeah. You just want
But the
another character.
stories of the characters
about
are
that.
just,
Yeah,
All
just
of that was
like
just bonus.
their journey. Yeah, sure.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I love like psychology, so I love the whys of like why they're doing things that they're doing.
yeah. And you
So-
got a lot of that with these characters. I feel like.
Yeah.
Great segue question. Who is your guys' favorite character? You can do a top 3, or it doesn't have to be like 1, 2, 3. It could just be 3 of your favorites. Have to keep it the 3. Jen, I'm looking at you specifically.
Ginny.
Because Jen is gonna go Ginny,
Yep,
Hermione, Ron,
exactly.
Harry, Lupin.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna pick. I'm indecisive.
I just love Luna.
Yeah, she
she's a
is
good one.
She's just I don't know.
a hot tamale.
She's very much a hot tamale.
She's just unique. She's just Luna. She's her. You know.
Yeah.
So she's definitely one of my top favorites.
Yeah, she is great. Everything that came out of her mouth was just like a soothing, perfectly timed
Just a sweet friend.
conversation. Yeah.
Like really caring.
Yep. Yeah, she is so sweet.
Yeah.
It's tough. I'm breaking it down book by book almost.
I
Because
know.
it changed a lot, and then by the end it was different than how it started. But when you ask the question, I'm trying to go based on instincts, and one of the first people that come to mind was Lupin.
I was just gonna say that.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to steal it.
Yeah.
What's your number 2? Oh, it doesn't have to be in order, but you know.
I just thought Ginny was like a funny character.
Oh
I-
yeah,
Yeah.
you said Jen, right.
Yeah. And
She's
then I
so
went
great.
to, and then, well, only in the books.
Yeah.
Because in the movies, she was not existent. And then Lupin, because he's the most memorable, like, professor for me. Because he, like, kind of took Harry and, like, taught him so much. And then continues, like, protecting him as the books go on.
Mm-hmm.
There was another one, but I can't think of it.
It's funny that to
Hermione.
me, the Weasley family almost feels like its own character. Like them collectively.
Yeah, seriously, they do.
Because there is a lot of similar energy. They are a family. And it feels unfair to call it out as any one of them because it's just that feeling of being in the burrow that I'm trying to give credit to.
Yeah.
That home, that family that Harry never had. So Lupin comes to mind, and then the Weasleys. I don't know what a third person here. Everyone I think of, then I come up with the reasons why they aren't.
I know,
my favorite.
same.
I'm like, oh, well.
And then Dobby, he's just like a sweet, innocent character.
Yeah.
And I feel like everything he does was like for good. Like he didn't really have any faults, and if they were, it was just like helping people.
Right.
Yeah. He was annoying in the second book for sure.
Oh, that's right. See, I forget some of the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was super annoying actually. Maybe I take it back.
But like he is
Hagrid.
really, genuinely he's trying to help though. But he just doesn't know he's not helping at all.
Yeah, he doesn't really. Right.
Yeah.
Hagrid. Maybe I swap it out.
I thought about that.
he's a
I'm gonna
good
say
one.
McGonagall instead.
Ooh.
Oh, she's
Oh, that's
good
my
too.
4th and 5th.
Yeah, classic.
I like Luna though a lot. I like that was a
Yeah,
good
Luna's great.
answer.
Yeah. This looks weird. Sorry, I'm like trying to figure out this crochet thing. It's driving me nuts. But I also love Mrs. Weasley.
Yeah.
Like when you were talking
So
about the
good.
Weasley family, I'm like,
yeah.
I always commented on her. I loved
Yeah,
her.
that's
Yep.
true.
I think because it's like you got the motherly vibe from her,
So true.
you know.
There was no one else, right? Besides her.
Yeah, I was trying to think.
McGonagall, but she was
Yeah, I
more a
was gonna say other
teacher,
moments
like
maybe,
professor.
but
Yeah.
No one compared to her. For
And then
sure.
at the end, when she cursed at Bellatrix,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my
Yeah,
God, you-
nice.
Yeah.
It was a great line.
That actually, yeah. Ditto too.
Or even I'm thinking
All
of the
yours.
moment,
Ditto.
Isn't she the one who stood up first and got mad at Sirius to say, "Don't you dare think you're the only person who cares about
Yeah.
Harry"? And that
So
like moment
good.
of just like it's not only warm mom, but like Mama Bear.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
will fight for this boy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She is such a, she's like very like a little too momish because she worries about characters so much, but she really is such like a reasonable
what moms
person in the
do.
series.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
know,
say
that.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. I love that so much.
I'm like, what about everyone's mom here?
Yeah.
I think it's just so great that she does that because everyone else is coming up with plots and plans, and she is literally just trying to keep everyone safe.
What were
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
like
The only
clock
person in the
things
series
that
who's
she
really
could
trying to
keep
do that.
track
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
everyone's
Yeah.
Such
Where
a
they're-
mom thing. I love it.
how much danger they're in.
Oh, it's so good.
There's gotta be a spell like just put a bubble on them while they're like toddlers.
Spell.
Wouldn't be a podcast without a Kristen burp.
Yeah. Necessary.
Yeah, there's so many good characters in the book too. I mean, Neville is definitely one of mine. Lupin's probably mine.
Oh my
Mine
gosh, I
not.
totally forgot about Neville.
No?
Wow.
yeah.
That's the thing. I'm excited if
No,
you guys
like
do this for
not
a second time.
in a
Yeah,
Me too. I'm
the
excited.
second time.
Did you not say Tonks?
and Tonks is my third. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Those are probably my top three.
Oh, it hurts. Even when I say Lupin,
It would be cool
I had to say
read it a
Lupin
second time.
because it had an impact.
Yeah.
But by the end, my opinion of him has shifted a little.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
And
because
each
the
book will
dad
shift,
thing.
Like just some of the stuff in the end, it just kind of changed. But I'm still sticking to it. The early days of Lupin, and he was still good in the end, but not as.
And I do really think that's why this is a really good series too, is because the characters do have a lot of change.
Yeah.
All their arcs, like Lupin is different from book 3 than he is book 7 or 6.
And
Same
that
thing as all
surprised
the
me.
other
It really
characters.
did.
Yeah.
I like
It
it.
would
Harry
be
has huge
cool though
character
to
arcs.
reread it and see like now knowing the end you could focus on like other parts of it.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Which is, I
Yeah.
mean, that's another interesting question. If you guys reread this, what would you think your main like focus would be? Would you focus on like one or two characters? Would you just do it out of pure enjoyment again?
I would look for hints about what's his name.
Definitely,
Yeah.
that fits you.
Yeah, Dumbledore and Snape would be my character focuses.
Yeah.
But I think I would focus on the warmth of being back in the world.
Yeah.
It's funny though, Dumbledore, I viewed him as being, it feels like throughout the series he was saying, oh no, I'm not that good. No, like he would say random things and I would take it as being humble. But by the end of the series I was like, oh no, he was kind of telling us all along, like he's not that good, or he's acted selfishly, or I should have told you all along, Harry. I kept this from you, and I was wrong. And
Oh my gosh.
and so I think in the end, I did find myself still a little bitter towards him, and I want to read that in light of everything we know, and see how it affects the way I view him as a character. I think it'll be good because he's so warm at the beginning that it would help remind me of the things I love about Dumbledore. But then I also might read it with too much skepticism and then say, oh, wow, I really do think he's a little bit too selfish. So I'm curious. I actually don't know how I'm going to view him.
Coming from the man who liked Umbridge. Or didn't mind her, I should say. I'll be corrected.
Yeah, so true.
Oh man.
Danny's gonna read it. He's like gonna be like, I really love Umbridge.
I like her.
She's
even
just
more.
such a good character.
Oh goodness, yeah.
Which is okay. So that you asked actually like another good point. What is your guys' favorite like I guess location in the books, or like series of chapters, or like what's like your favorite spot in the books that you just are like looking forward to returning to?
My snowy scenes at Hogwarts.
Yeah, they're so
nice.
cozy.
I like my cozy scenes.
Yeah.
Oh, like Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's always your
Yeah.
favorite moment. Was like I like when they're just sitting together in a cozy wintry scene.
Yep. Forget everything else.
Yeah. Significant plot developments. Nah.
Yeah, whatever.
They're hanging out doing homework in the common room.
There are so many places that are warm and cozy to me now.
Mm.
But the first, Diagon Alley.
Yeah.
Second, the Burrow. Third, Hogsmeade. And
Oh,
I feel like
yeah.
in general, Hogwarts is true, but there are moments in the common room that feel warm. But because Hogwarts still feels so big, when I'm picturing the warmth of Hogwarts, a testament to the video game, I'm picturing the video game.
Yeah, same.
The video game makes it
So good.
so good. Like, it is so magical. You feel like you're there. It is like, I'm down with this. But when reading the books, I didn't necessarily pick up on all of that. There were moments of it, but not compared to the coolness and intrigue of Diagon Alley,
Yeah.
the warmth of the Burrow, the field trip vibes of Hogsmeade. So those are the ones that stand out to me. What were your highlight spots? Well, you don't even know if you're going to read it a second time. But what would be the thing that pulls you into reading it a second time the most? Like if you had to pick out a series of chapters.
That's like so hard.
I know,
I don't
it's
think
not
of them
fair.
because remember how I like to skip scenes,
Right, so
and I just wanted to know about what was
Well, yeah, but
happening
skip
next.
scenes
You are
and
such a
just- and then
plot-driven
stop where
reader.
you
I
want
was
Yeah.
like,
those
stop
things to be.
describing the details, even though it's funny because I'm very detail oriented. So it's weird that I don't like reading
is so
about it.
funny.
The mystery got
She
you.
does that in her second series too.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You're just like, get to the plot.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the ones you said. Like Hogsmeade would be an interesting one. Diagon Alley. All I'm picturing is like the Universal
Yeah, the lot,
Studios,
seriously, yeah.
which was really neat. Yeah. And then some of those rooms I feel like would just be interesting too. Like, what's the not the vanishing room? Yeah, the vanishing? No.
Room of requirement?
Yeah, that.
Ooh, yeah.
Because
That's
when
a
they go
great
in there, I'm
spot.
like, oh, that's
That
like so
is.
cool. You can just picture like however you want it to be, and it just appears.
Just
Yeah.
roam around all day there.
Yep.
Is that in the video game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. in
I
fact.
forgot I could be playing that.
I know. Seriously, you could be roaming around the
You
castle.
already made your character and everything. That's a perfect hobby for surgery recovery.
Yes.
There you go.
Perfect.
You could
And you don't
live
have to
stream the
spend
whole
any
thing.
money
Jen.
while you do that. Her other hobby is shopping, so I'm like, oh no,
True.
I'm not even kidding. If you live stream your playthrough
Oh, that would be awesome.
of the video game, you get thousands of people watching that.
I don't even like what. You put it on the video game, and then I have
Yeah.
to, and
It'd just
then
be like your
and
head
then-
in the little corner and the video game on the main
Oh.
screen. Danny knows how to do all that. You would be perfect.
Yeah, you'd
You would
crush it.
just see me getting so mad when I like mess up and die.
People
So
love that.
good.
It's great.
Be like,
And
come
honestly,
on.
you just got started, so
It's true.
you
I
still
barely
have
got.
some of the best moments of the
It was
game
really
ahead of
fun,
you.
but I like being with someone playing it.
yeah.
You
Fair.
can both do it. That'd be great. I wish I had like a co-op mode. That'd be so
Oh,
fun.
that would be great.
Oh my gosh, that's what yeah, maybe soon.
We need that. Then
Then
all of
we-
us
we
could play
play
together.
It Takes Two.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, that would be. Maybe I would have more opinions if I read it a second time of where I would like to go.
That is kind of like another question too. Also, if you hear any chewing in the background, Wes has been chewing his bone for the entire podcast.
Yeah,
Well,
some
well
of
done.
our listeners really love that extra
I know. A lot of ASMR
sound.
right there, like extra sound.
I couldn't get over it.
I know people aren't gonna they're not gonna want to listen to this episode.
It's the last one. You have to.
Yeah, you're obligated to.
This is pivoting the whole discussion a little bit. We'll go back to Harry Potter at the end in the last few minutes. But did you guys like podcasting? Was there someone wants to know? Because it was funny, like me working this with you guys, like knowing you guys too. Were there ever points where you just wanted to like not do this anymore? Did you really enjoy it? What was like? Were there parts where you didn't like it at the start and you started to really like it? And do you think you're going to do this more in the future?
It depended. It depended on my.
Kristen's like, I am out. I'm retiring.
It was fun while it lasted. Halfway through it.
In case I didn't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
No, that wasn't. You guys go first.
I think you enjoyed it for a while, but
No, I loved it. You go first.
I think, well, like I said, I was previously on these things that I like just started like getting into reading. I never like finished that many books because I would start and just stop. But I find it so fun to like discuss chapters and things that happen. I'm like, oh, this is what like book club's all about. Like,
Yeah.
what was I missing this whole time? Because it's fun to dissect that part. I guess it just depended on what was going on in life. Where I was like, if I was busy, I'm like, oh, now I gotta go record it. And like I enjoyed it when I was here, but I might have
the planning of it
dreaded
was
coming.
dreadful,
And
yeah.
I'm like.
You did always say that.
I'm like, it's kind of
Yeah.
like
I
going
know
to
I'll
the
love it when I'm
gym
there.
or something
Yeah,
where I'm like dreading going, but then I feel
When you're
good
done, it
after.
feels great
And I was
after,
like, yeah. So there were moments of those.
And your work schedule was tough too. Like if you knew you had to get up early, you're like, oh man.
Especially because you were in between jobs sometimes too.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
just
and my
supply chain.
shifts were
Yeah.
so
Brutal.
crazy. So that was hard. And then it was funny in the beginning was funny to see how censored and like
Yeah.
weird it felt, and then how now at the end I'm like, I don't even care that there's cameras here. Like,
Right, I was thinking that
isn't
too.
that just
Yeah.
so like we're like,
Self-conscious
wait,
editing.
can I say what? I don't know, re-listen and
Yeah.
can you delete stuff like?
Right.
Yeah, crop it. Was
Oh
always the
yeah,
thing.
I'm a little phrase it.
No, we don't care. Just say whatever.
But I think it's fun. I feel like if people are curious about it, they should just try it.
Yeah.
Because I think, it's fun getting people together and talking about a common interest.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
that's one of the things. I mean, obviously, to answer the question, I loved it through and through. I would look forward to it. Yeah. But when people would ask about it, I would always say, just do it. Because it's kind of like there's something great about it, that it's time with friends, time with people you care about, with a very intentional goal. So it ends up being the perfect balance of things where you have scheduled time, it's therapeutic, it's fun, and you're on like a bit of a mission together. You're on a journey together. So it's the podcast was our mountain troll, you know? And so it's like then that's what it's what forges our friendship, you know, in a lot of ways, and that especially for us because it was our relationship.
Oh yeah.
So then
That's
I feel like that
Yeah.
to me was the bonus magic of all of it, is that I can't isolate any of the factors here. The time together, the friendship, the story, the characters, the podcasting element. There were so many unique things about the experience that I just say anyone should do it. but
Especially if
doing
you
what
have a
we
crush
did.
on
Well,
someone.
especially then.
There you
Wow,
go.
7 books. in
Danny,
2
you should write a
years.
book.
Start a podcast.
If you have a
about that.
crush, just start a podcast.
And
Lock
make
them
sure
in.
It's really long.
I'll never
Dedicate
forget
2
that
years.
conversation
But
about.
that's the thing
Do you
that's
want to
so
read
tough.
Harry Potter
I
together?
know, on a whim at whatever 2 a.m. It's just-
The whole thing was so funny, and then all of a sudden Jen texts me, and I'm like, all right.
I know someone that would love to know that we're reading this, guys.
Thank you for telling me.
so good.
Yep.
Oh,
I
that's
forgot.
So funny.
Not that I forgot, but it's like such a part of our story that's like really cool too, like the
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
podcast
is
and
fun
Harry
'cause
Potter.
The whole thing is documented, and it was fun, like keeping
Mhm.
it a secret from everyone, and all of a sudden,
Right.
Yeah.
people
I guess
were
that is
there was
kinda
hilarious comments in like our Reddit. There was a post before of someone was like, Jen seems really annoyed with the guy sometimes in the podcast. They were like- and there was like 20 comments under it. Everyone was like, just wait, ... That is so great. It was so funny because I think there was like an episode where like me and Danny just kept going on and on and on. I think you were just like, guys, let's wrap it up. Come on.
Yeah.
Just wait. Oh, that's so funny because they're new listeners
Yeah,
and
new
people are
listeners,
like
yeah.
commenting on like
Yeah, if people start
Oh,
from scratch,
that's
it's
actually
so
funny.
fun getting to the point where they're at in like I think in a book 6 we start and we're like, hey, by the way, Jen and Danny, you guys are engaged, you know. So
that
fun.
is
So
You
really
guys are
funny.
married now. It's like, yeah, it's great.
The hidden like
Yeah,
subtle
yeah.
like
People picking up on
People
the
were reading it, yeah.
subtext.
Right.
There's like a
That's
there's a
so
story within
funny.
our podcast that's so fun.
Yep.
I'm not gonna have to re-listen to ours.
Yeah, you
Right?
should.
Good.
Listen.
As you read through for the second time, you can listen through for the first time.
I need a little break, guys.
All
Yeah.
right, we'll start next.
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
I'm also in her other series, which is also ridiculously long too.
Really?
It is, I think, 9 books.
Whoa.
I think
Nine?
it's
Is
like
she finished
I
with it?
think I don't think so, but I'm not
Holy
sure
moly.
because I
We'll get
haven't.
into that one.
Because she has at least 7, and they're the same way where they start small and then they're
They get
massive,
huge.
like
I love that.
encyclopedias. I'm like, what the heck?
you
But her
love it.
She's
character.
got lots to say.
You are such a
I
reader
know.
now.
Yeah,
This is so
seriously.
great.
I'm only listening to audiobooks. Okay,
But that's reading.
Yeah, it's
whatever.
reading,
Yeah, maybe.
Wow.
And I
Only
will
if they're a
say,
good reader on
Yeah.
audiobook.
because both of us agreed, because we're reading the Goldfinch now, and that reader
Oh.
is terrible.
I
But
I
Andy Serkis on Lord of the Rings, I literally listened to
Oh.
the first 20 seconds of it, and I am so hooked.
I'm
He
so
is
psyched to
Really?
start.
such a good. People.
That
The
makes
only
it
complaint
from-
that people have of him is that he makes everything too dramatic. Like
Okay,
he's
fair,
like when you're
fair.
reading through like a boring line, he's trying to make it dramatic, and people are like, it just gets a little annoying after a while.
That makes sense.
But the first 20 seconds of the line,
feel
where
like I
he's
would like
reading-
it.
Yeah, me too. I love it. The first
I
20
hope
seconds.
it starts like the movies
He's
do
reading,
because it's
yeah,
so good.
because he reads the inscription on one ring to rule them all, and I'm
Oh.
sitting there listening, and I was like
That's how it
sweating
starts.
when he was reading that,
Oh.
which is a whole different thing for everyone.
Mm.
Everyone wondering, we are starting a Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the First Time Readers.
Oh, yeah,
We're
that's
getting
good.
into that, so
Oh
we're
my
doing more
gosh.
podcasting.
Don't
Getting
worry.
into that. Kristen is
And
she's
Kristen
retiring.
loves podcasting, so
Kristen is welcome back anytime. She just wants to hang out and knit and sit in the corner and comment on us anytime.
As you all can see, I'm not the biggest talker. If you ask me pointed questions, I can answer them. But I don't expound on I'm not you, Danny. But no, this was like a really, really fun experience. It was something different. It pulled me out of my comfort zone. Because if you asked me like a couple years ago if I was going to do this, I'd be like, no, I don't want to talk in front of people. No, thanks. But no, if you want to do it, I definitely say go for it.
Yeah.
Just try it out. It doesn't hurt to try.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
so
like
true.
it was so cool getting to know you guys
Yeah,
better.
honestly.
You know, it's like we
Yeah.
all met at the book club, and
Yep.
then it was just like a closer friendship building.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
it was in that aspect, it was really special. You
Yeah.
destroying my reading plan
by like
slightly.
a
There was
year.
such
Just by like a
Schedule.
year and a half.
I was like telling the people that I work with. Because Halloween, I was a Ravenclaw student.
Oh, that's
Ah.
awesome.
And so I came
Oh.
up and I was like, yeah, ended up doing a podcast. I was like, it was a whole thing. I made a reading schedule that got destroyed.
Reading schedule was what, 7 months? And
Was that what it was?
like,
A book a month?
Yeah, it was, I think it
Wow.
was June.
That's
And
pretty
it probably would have worked.
Yeah,
It
would've
would
been
have.
great. That's
And then we
really-
would have been at Disney already.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
Or
My
not
universe.
Disney. I always say that because I went to both at the same time.
Yeah, we'll go.
Universal. Whatever. We got to go to Scotland, so that was cool.
Yeah, exactly. Positive, silver linings.
So true. And after we do a second time read and we get Lauren and Brandon or
Scott.
someone
I know.
else, then we'll
Oh,
go.
that'd be fun.
Well, I still think Lauren and Brandon, we got to get them roped in. And then
Just
I was
'cause they're
thinking,
so fun.
Your sister's new friend, has he read Harry Potter?
Ooh, that's a fascinating idea. I'm gonna ask him. I should. text
Oh,
him right
actually,
now.
they would be really fun.
Because
The
I
Almost
dynamic
for your
between them.
relationships. Harry
It's
Potter
worked
and
for
the
us.
podcast.
Because I think she would be so
Oh, and then-
good
they're
on this
both
podcast.
so like energetic
Yeah.
and
Really?
articulate. They would crush.
Very much so. On the second half. What's that word again?
I'm gonna text him right now.
It works for relationships, I guess. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, everyone is asking that. That's like the biggest question that we get because people want us to
They
do
want
other stuff
to
and
start
series and stuff like
relationships.
that. Yeah, they want to start relationships. But we are planning other stuff, so don't worry. There will be more series in the future. There's more first time reader series in the future.
Did you? Are you
I
still
told
doing?
Danny, but I haven't told you guys. I just started with my niece because she just turned 11, or she's turning 11 this week. So last Friday she came over and we recorded a 10-minute episode about what she expects from the series. Like,
Whoa!
how, is she
that's
excited
fun.
to read it? And then we just went to the Bronx Zoo and we just hung out for the day.
Oh, that's really sweet.
The
Yeah.
greatest thing ever. You guys got to
Awesome.
go to the zoo. It was the coolest
That
experience.
is.
I'll sell it after, but it was so fun.
Have we been?
I haven't been there since
No.
like middle school, but it was unbelievable.
It's funny, the middle school literally just went there.
We
Yeah.
did go.
That was
That
the
was
field
good.
trip.
The place where you had boots on that were hurting your feet.
Oh, nice! And then we took
And it
a
was really
picture.
cold, and
We
some
started
animals were
Harry
not
Potter
outside.
though because we took a picture of the snake and we sent it to them.
Yeah, weirdly, the only animal that my niece really gravitated toward was the boa
That-
constrictor.
Yeah.
Might
Oh,
be
wow.
She was like,
Slytherin.
yeah, she was like, it
Interesting.
was like following her finger. It was
No
crazy.
weird.
way.
I was like, Lay,
That's pretty funny.
are you speaking to the snake right now?
Yeah, what
Nice.
is it saying?
Did you have her take a house test yet or
No, not yet. I'm
anything?
gonna wait till she gets to that point in the books.
Okay, cool.
And this will be a series that happens over 7 years. So she's gonna read a book a year.
Oh, wow.
So it's gonna be like
That's really cool.
That's
She-
so
yeah.
cute.
Yeah.
Wait, she doesn't know anything?
no, nothing.
Really? So her age too,
The
Yeah.
hardest part will be when she's really into it
Yeah.
or with
Holding
other
back
kids?
and not mentioning it to anyone else who
I
is
know.
around her.
What I'm hoping is eventually it turns into maybe some of her friends jump in on the podcast or like jumping on at
Whoa.
least reading it with her where
Yep.
they read one book together and they stop and they don't read the next one until they're a year older. I don't know if
That
that's going
would
to
be
work out very well,
awesome.
but I'm like
That's
that the hype
interesting.
around that or
Yep.
like even
What
if I can
grade
get
is
them,
this for this age?
So she's going into middle school. She's
Okay.
in 5th grade right now. She's going she's like going to be a 6th grader. So she'll start reading them. She's like a little old
Okay.
for her
her
she's like one of
grade.
the older kids in her grade.
Oh, that's good.
So she's gonna read it now.
Cool.
yeah.
That's so fun.
She's gonna jump into it. So
And
it's
then
gonna be
even if
exciting.
that happened at book 3 or 4,
Yeah.
some friend is
Exactly.
like, "Oh, I want to read this." They could catch up in
they
no
can catch
time.
up quick, and then
Yep.
I think it'd be great.
That's so awesome.
So we got lots planned anyway for podcasting as far as that's concerned. And what other burning questions? We'll talk about the rankings of the books in a bit, and then we'll do like the final hot tamale, final questions. But
That's written on one of our wedding things by you. Remember, I had a picture. I had a frame, and we asked people to like write or doodle or something. And I think you wrote something awesome, but I don't know. I don't remember. But I just saw it today. It's hanging up in our bathroom, and it said hot tamale. I was like, whoa, I forgot about that phrase.
great.
That is
To
so great.
describe the couple. That's what it
That
so
is
great.
awesome.
I wrote that?
Yeah, your name's under it.
Oh,
I'll
wow.
take a picture of it.
Like I did. I don't remember.
We had a lot. We had a few Harry Potter words in
Okay.
our description on the frame. Anyway,
Oh, that's fun.
So cute.
that's cute.
Any other questions that you guys had, or like burning things that you wanted to talk about before we do the wrap up? Anybody else online want to ask a question?
I'm sure I'll think of something later. I'm not ready for it to be over.
Oh, I will say the one moment, because I didn't watch the movies with you guys, but the last movie,
Mm-hmm.
was it the last movie? Where in the book, Mrs. Malfoy goes to Harry, but in the book, she's like, Draco. I never knew what was going on.
Really?
Because you would always say, like,
Yeah,
you
how
would have
would
to
you-
know, and
yeah.
it was so funny because that moment in the book, in the movie, I was always like, "What is what is
Yeah, what-
happening?"
yeah,
I'm
that's
so
true.
confused.
If you've just seen the movies, it's probably confusing
Yeah.
for what actually is happening.
So yeah, but
Yeah.
I just didn't care. I was like,
Oh, it's
Just-
fine.
Right.
Well-
I mean, that's fair.
For Brandon and Lauren, we should have them watch the movies first. Watch like one movie and then maybe like talk about maybe some of the parts they're confused on, because that probably is a confusing part.
Wow,
Or
you're
even like
right.
when he drops the stone out of his hand, and then like all his people come back.
yes,
People are so confused over that scene in the movies. It'd be kind of fascinating to see like where Brandon and Lauren are confused, actually
Oh.
confused in the movies.
That
Yeah.
was funny.
Hmm.
Because I would
Yeah.
ask them and be like, how do you know
Yeah.
what happens here? They don't explain it.
Yeah.
They're like, what are you talking about?
And Jen could be like, well, in the book.
I schooled them on like the Marauders,
That
like
makes me
their
so
background.
happy.
It was so funny. I know.
It's great.
It's awesome.
Someone asks, if a sequel is made, what would you want it? What direction would you want it to go in?
Like a whole series of sequels?
So yeah, let's say there's a sequel made. I mean, there's a few directions they can go in. Would it be completely divorced from everything about like another
it would
person?
actually tie the story together in all the ways that she left open.
Ooh.
There are a lot of
I do
those.
find myself kind of hoping that actually,
Yeah.
only because there were enough things hinted at. And during a second time read, I'll keep a tally of all the things I thought were going to come back and didn't. And I feel like there are open ends to this story. Things that were not just mentioned, but I feel like almost foreshadowed. And obviously some of the big ones being with Snape specifically. And the history of Harry's parents and the Potter line and Harry. And I feel like if she had the foresight to plan all of these books, she also had the foresight to plan the 8th, 9th, and 10th book
Yeah, right.
that she plans on writing
Yeah.
when she's near retirement.
Yeah.
So that's my dream a little bit, that she would take the story and just finish it. Not to insult anything that was already written, but I do feel like there is more to tell with the characters and the locations.
It can't
we
just
already
be one
love.
happy ending. One big
Well,
happy.
I think it already was a pretty happy ending.
But
And
you
I'm
don't
not even
like that,
saying-
is what I'm
not even
saying.
saying the whole world in peril again or Voldemort coming back. Nothing dramatic like that. But I just think there's more that could be told and filled in. And I don't need a lot of peril in the next story. Undoubtedly there will be, because that does make for good stories. But it just feels like you could tell a lot more. There's a lot more to it. And there's just, I feel like the end of it scratched a lot of those itches.
Mm-hmm.
But I still got a few itches.
Still got a few hitches, yeah.
And
absolutely.
so I'm dreaming of that a little bit. And I haven't watched much of what she said after the series, because what I have seen and heard makes me think she's just confirming that the door is completely shut on it.
Yeah.
And I refuse to believe it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not ready. I don't want to watch some video where she says, I'm not writing anything more about Harry Potter ever. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah,
now
there
you
could
could
definitely
dive
be a good
into all the
sequel.
other things that are out there that we weren't allowed to, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I'm trying to just
So-
open that tap slowly. I'm not trying to drown
No,
in this waterfall of Harry Potter magic.
But there's also a lot of it, so I think you're fine.
There is a lot, but I'm kind of going through, and what I've posted a little bit of is just all of the things from Pottermore, which are the things J.K. has written specifically about different elements of the wizarding world. And the highlight of that so far, McGonagall's story. So good.
Yeah, isn't that so fascinating?
So good.
Her backstory is
Yep.
great.
And maybe they'll dive into that in the series, because that's worthy of a decent amount of little bonus time.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's
Wait,
so
what
much
is this
potential.
world you just talked about?
The world we already know from Harry Potter.
No,
but
I know, but
she
where
just
are you
goes a little
reading
deeper
this
into it.
stuff?
So on Pottermore,
Oh, yeah, you guys
however
did talk
many
about
it is.
that.
Call it
See, I'm
40
not
or
a real
50.
fan.
40 or 50 little excerpts that she has just put out there post books in like 2015, and each one is about a specific topic,
Oh, that's kind of neat.
and some of them are really short and some of them are long. And the McGonagall one was long, and it read like a story about her life and her marriage and how her
Whoa.
marriage ended and all the
Yep.
drama, and that stuff is fun. But I don't want to read that too quickly, because that is the meat and potatoes.
there is
That's
meat.
something I can sink my teeth into. But yeah, I feel like I still want to have another second read experience that's a little more pure before I go too deep down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right, I rambled on. Have you thought of a good answer, Jen? Sequel potential?
Oh, good. I'm glad you repeated the question. I don't know. You sucked all the teeth. Oh man. A sequel. Yeah. I mean, maybe you would tie in like the kids and their new life in Hogwarts and how it's changed after, Voldemort was defeated and what that looks like, and maybe the other schools would be integrated more into it, not just that one. I don't even know when the ball or something.
Yeah.
Is that the only time they come
Yeah.
to check it out? Maybe there'd be more field trips or something, so you could kind of see the other schools. And then seeing the characters as parents would probably be kind of funny.
Yeah, agreed.
That's a great thing that you mentioned. Like, it would be so fascinating to see. Like, maybe this would be boring, but like legislation that the Wizarding world puts into place to like prevent something like this from happening again, or like how the schools change what they teach, or like how they behave or act in order to not let some of this stuff happen again, or like how they rebuild.
Yeah.
I think that stuff would be so fascinating to see.
Yeah, you're right.
Because most movies, they they cut out as soon as they're starting to rebuild, because it's like, that's when the end really.
yeah.
All the conflict happens, they destroy a city, and like the movie ends. It'd be kind of fun to see how they rebuilt.
I think what you were saying about classes, like, okay, maybe we teach kids how to defend themselves better than we were doing,
Yeah,
just in case.
Yeah, you're right.
Like defense against the dark arts, but that was one class, and it
And
wasn't
they were kind of
until
slacking
older.
on it anyway.
And it
for
was
maintaining teachers. But
well, hopefully that curse is gone.
yeah, now who's been the teacher since?
yeah. And it would be fun to see.
I
that.
thought you were gonna tell me.
No, I don't know. If we
Just the way you talk.
know. Do we know? I don't think so.
It would be so fun to see like Harry take that role. Like, I would love to see. I was always bummed that Harry didn't go into Quidditch right after. Like, he deserves
I thought he was gonna be
an aura,
yeah.
which he does. He goes and does,
Oh,
which we're gonna kind of see.
you seem so unenthusiastic about
I
that.
kind of am, because I like that he goes into that profession, but I think he could actually be more used. Like, he deserves like a 10-year breather. Go let him play Quidditch and let him just like decompress for 10 years. He can have a great Quidditch
I
career.
think of being a professor would be more entertaining.
And then he goes and becomes a professor.
Oh,
the
this
Defense
is
Against
his
the Dark Arts
second
professor.
career,
Yep.
and
That's
then
like
his third career.
His third career as an
But
aura.
he summers as an aura.
Yes,
so it's perfect,
exactly. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's where he's learning all the practical things that he can teach.
Oh my god.
Because he
here
was such.
Well,
he
that's
was
more
such a good
realistic,
teacher.
right? Multiple careers in
Yeah.
your
Well,
lifetime.
yeah, it's hard to support with inflation and the economy. You know?
And honestly, it would be fun to see a series of Harry's psyche going through teaching. Like, I don't know if he would particularly enjoy it. I think he'd think himself inadequate at times. Like, it's so different from a Dumbledore teaching, where Dumbledore is so overly confident in his abilities, and he's like almost like
But he's an adult now.
Yeah, exactly. So would Harry feel very confident in his teaching ability?
Ginny would help him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The little confidence that Ginny has is rubbing off on Harry.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think it'd be such a fascinating and fun deep dive on like seeing what Harry went through for the next few years of his life, in like a more interesting way than just being an Auror. I think he can have cooler backstory.
Yep.
I don't know.
An Auror feels like not the best use of Harry.
I kind of agree.
Like it made sense when Voldemort was out there, but now like, what's the what do you already did it. You got to the top. You crushed all evil, and now what is it being an Auror? I feel like it's not. Maybe that's what it could be about. Him finding out it's not all it's cracked up to be.
But was he actually good, or was it just because he was a Horcrux that he was good?
That's a great point. Because maybe his confidence is going to falter for that, and Ginny is giving him pep talks every single day after he teaches because he feels inadequate. Because maybe the entire time he really just was doing this because he had a part of Voldemort living inside of him. So maybe that when that part is destroyed, he doesn't know how to do magic that well anymore. I don't know.
How much do you think his personality changed from that?
Ooh, great
I
point.
viewed it as almost not at all. But you are viewing it a little bit like that his personality would change. He might not be good at the same things. He might change in confidence more or less. We don't know. That's interesting.
I guess
a
that's
fascinating idea.
my Team Dark Secrets coming. Wait, he fixed his wand too? I forget, because in the movies...
In the movies, he snaps it and doesn't fix his wand. In the
And
books,
then-
he fixes his wand.
And then
gets
and then leaves the wand in
open end.
it's a huge open end, and leaves the wand fully put together in Dumbledore's grave.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that was
the
kind of
perfect sequel right there.
Perfect sequel.
We can tie up all the loose
Yeah.
ends that already exist in
Because
the
there
way
will
that JK
always-
has been planning
yeah.
on doing, but
I think there will
That's how you
always
find
be
your
a
villain.
master of the Elder Wand. Like, even if Harry just dies, I still think the Elder Wand probably has enough wherewithal. And almost like, I think Joe like knew that she was writing that in there too.
she left
Where
that
it's-
door open.
it's like,
and
yeah.
she knew it.
Yeah, she's leaving.
But she
some
probably
doors
wanted
open.
to try these other things, and then
Yeah,
she'll
agreed.
come
No,
back
of
to
course.
it.
I'm not saying right now.
How
I'm
old is
saying
she?
When she's 70,
You can wait
she's
till
gonna come
you're,
back to it.
like,
When she's
dead.
80, she'll
Yeah.
come back to it. Or she wrote the book and it releases on her death. That's a little much, but
Oh
I feel
my
like,
gosh.
I don't know. It
You're
is
something
odd to leave that open-ended when she's laid so much groundwork for it, and then just to leave it in the world. I kind of forgot about that. That makes so much sense. And then it could be a Lord of the Rings parallel for the actual story whenever it comes out.
Someone just said this on the live too, but I just saw a little article about this too, and that there's a Hogwarts Legacy sequel, and it's going to coordinate with the big picture story elements in the HBO series. I don't know how that's going to work, but I think they're taking some of the video game elements of like the actual castle and some of the grounds and some of the story into the HBO series. Which is kind of cool.
I feel like that will be a fascinating part of it, to see much more unity between seasons of the show in little things, even just like the castle and the grounds and places where they filmed, because I feel like some of that was lost. It felt a little disjointed in the movies because it was different directors and different budgets and all that. But that would be so cool to see the video game tied in.
Yeah,
I saw that
seriously.
announcement, but I didn't know much about it.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what that means, but it's gonna be fun to see what they do.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Let's do a. You can rank the books if you want, or you can just give me what your favorite book is.
I'm not sure I'm going to remember what's in each
I know. That's why I said you don't necessarily have to rank them. You can just give me what your favorite one or what the most memorable one is. But if you give me that one, you have to say why.
Gosh. Why didn't we get
Back
these
in school.
before? I didn't get this homework.
Yeah.
This is like a pop quiz. It is a pop quiz. I don't like one.
It's not at the forefront of my mind.
What did I say last time?
Well, I think it is interesting with time, because then time kind of filters out other things that were less impactful.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I'll never
also
forget
for
the
me,
beginning.
changes. Okay, nice. What parts?
Was that the third book? The beginning of one of the books where it's
The fourth one, it's just quick. It goes right into it.
yes, where it was like evil. It was
Mystery,
Voldemort. Yeah, and I
In
was
the
like, "What's
house.
happening?" And
Yeah.
then is that where Moody is the fake? Yeah, see, because we were detectives, and that one's memorable because we figured it out.
Yeah. I think the fourth was probably your favorite for those reasons.
Yeah.
You
Probably.
seemed to really enjoy it. I was like,
Because it was like detective stuff. It was like trying to figure out what's wrong, what's this. And then I'll never forget their faces. And we're like, we think.
yeah.
They're like, what?
Oh yeah, because we did a trip. Was that Nashville? We
Yeah.
were on the plane listening together and
Yeah.
talking about it. Yeah, that
I was
was
like,
fun.
that doesn't seem like his personality.
Yeah, that was
Boom.
great
That was so
detective
cool.
work.
Yeah, it was great. It was
But that's
fun.
probably why I like him
Yeah.
more. Because it was we
You
were
know,
right.
we're a little biased in some ways from our experience in London at the studio and then in Scotland, but I feel like Prisoner of Azkaban has gone up in my list
It's a great book.
as a movie and book, but because they were kind of working together, because the studio, I guess, cycles through some of the stuff they have in their warehouse, and they were focusing specifically on props and sets from Prisoner of Azkaban. So that helped bring it front of mind. But I feel like there was something magical about it, and I feel like that's where the movies brought it to a great level of they had a budget. It started to get like more well known. It felt more polished, and it was reaching like kind of peak magic. But it was still, I don't know, it still felt like it was something special. It's still a hidden gem. Still like, it didn't feel too Hollywood yet. But as far as my actual ranking, I feel like I'd go 4, 3.
Wait. Okay, 4 is your
7,
favorite.
5,
Well,
2, 1.
okay,
No, I don't know. That sounds
Wait,
hard.
can you say the
Shoot,
titles
I lost
again?
it.
It's the
pull
Sorcerer's
it up.
Stone.
Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, Prisoner of Azkaban, Goblet of Fire, The Order of the Phoenix, Half-Blood Prince, and Deathly Hallows.
Oh, Half-Blood Prince was good too.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
So Half-Blood Prince is an interesting one because I thought you guys were gonna like Half-Blood Prince way more than you actually did initially. When we finished
I don't
it,
remember then. Maybe
you
someone
liked
else.
it. You guys liked it, but it was like I think when that one sinks in a little bit, I think you guys when you guys reread that one, that might be your favorite.
Okay, yeah.
But I thought Half-Blood Prince was gonna be Jen's favorite because that one goes into a lot of the plot behind Voldemort more. It like figures out who he is as a character, and you get a lot of like
Did I
little
not-
flashbacks in him.
Oh.
You liked it, but you were like
You
looking forward to like catching the Horcruxes. I think a little bit too much.
Yeah, because I always want the next thing.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm on
right.
to the next. I'm like, what's
Yeah.
coming up? So I can't enjoy it because I need to know the ending.
Yeah.
But now it might be different. What?
Yeah, no, it's tough because my answer would change on a day-to-day basis. And I could read one article or watch one little thing and my list would shift around because it's not that extreme to me. But I think I've consistently said Goblet of Fire is my favorite for the same reasons you've said. But I do think that Prisoner of Azkaban has crept up recently. And the first one has always been like magical because it's the introduction to the world. But in light of the whole scope we know now, the first one just, I don't know, something about it just feels less impactful. Not like it's worse. I'm not trying to hate on it at all. So it does. I don't hate any of the books. It is just genuinely hard to choose because they're all great in their own way. But if I right now were to say, I would say 4, Goblet of Fire, 3, Prisoner of Azkaban.
3 is your second favorite. That's
I think that
interesting.
just trended
It's a-
so
yeah.
high.
You
I don't
like
know why.
the
It is
Blood
great.
Pact.
When you
Half-Blood
reread
Prince,
it fits. It's a good one.
Then Order of the Phoenix, and then the final 3 feels tough because Deathly Hallows, I really did enjoy the ending,
Yeah.
but it left me with a couple itches.
Yeah.
So I'll say Deathly Hallows, then Chamber of Secrets, and Philosopher's Stone. I'll say Philosopher's Stone, then Chamber of Secrets. Because the first one's magical, second one feels like a lot of repeated themes
Yeah.
from the first one. So I feel like that's a pretty fair ranking, but you're right. Prisoner of Azkaban is kind of a funny, but
Do you
I don't know.
remember?
Well, yeah, because the whole Sirius Black thing, I think actually has a lot of merit to it. As far as like quality, intrigue.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
That has aged well.
Such
for
good
me.
writing, yeah.
Yeah, that has aged very well. And I'm looking forward to reading that again. Again, because we get more information that now we can read with a new light. So I'm kind of psyched for that one.
It is, I will say, a second read is really fun. Like going through them, then you're able to pick up on the clues that you kind of missed. Because the third book, there's parts of me when I read the third book, in the beginning I'm like, okay, like when will this pick up? And then halfway through the third book, it just like goes. And I every single time I read the third book, I am just so captured by the third book, like just hunting after like what's next. It's a great, well written. It's such a good book. Good book.
And that's why Lupin is one of my favorite characters
exactly.
right now, because of his role in Prisoner of Azkaban. So
Is that where he becomes the teacher?
yeah, and that's when he's teaching the Patronus to Harry, and all of these great moments. So again, my list might change.
I forgot about.
And
I just
will have to
it's like
reorder
one
that
big
list as I
blur.
read the second time. But
Cannot differentiate the books.
so your final answer is you're saying
know.
Goblet of Fire is just your favorite through and through, and that's been pretty consistent for us for
I
a while.
think so.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a good list.
And then Half Blood. I think it's a similar, but maybe I'd flip.
No, that's a. So
Your-
you would say Goblet of Fire, then Half-Blood Prince.
Maybe. I don't like Umbridge, so she'd be at the end. So then Prisoner of Azkaban, Order of the Phoenix. No. I think I would. I can't remember. What the heck else happens in the Order of the Phoenix? Because then
Well,
I
think
like
of
all the
Grimmauld
answers
Place
from
and
Deathly Hollows.
Umbridge and Harry is grumpy, and there's a lot of tension. I feel like Order of the Phoenix is a lot
Lower on my list.
a lot of tension going on.
But I
there.
don't. They're all like a blur.
Fair.
So yeah, maybe I'll just Goblet of Fire, Half-Blood Prince, Prisoner of Azkaban, Deathly Hollows, Order of the Phoenix, Philosopher's Stone, Chamber of Secrets. Maybe.
It's a great list.
Nice.
It is funny. Chamber is, again, when you reread it, again, when, not if.
Yeah, respect.
Chamber, you're gonna reread Chamber, and it's still probably gonna rank at the bottom of your list, but you're gonna reread and you're gonna be like, that was just a fun book. It's all of them are still so good. They're like just great. It's a great series. It's so good, guys.
So good.
So good. You started a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. It is funny. We have someone who's in chat right now, and they just said they just finished binging our podcast for the first time.
Oh, my.
Season 1.
Well done.
And it's like everyone finds us because they're looking for exactly what we have, which is like a first time read experience that isn't like Potterless, which is like just flamboyant and flippant, and like they don't treat it with any seriousness. They're like, they want a first time read experience of people really going through this slow deep dives onto everything. I'm like, we gotcha.
Yeah,
That's what our
we
MO
did
is.
take it very seriously.
Yeah.
As we should.
Sorry for
is-
the
yeah.
eating.
Yeah, that is the one. There is one episode where you're eating popcorn.
I
and
know,
People cannot
like,
get through that
I'm
episode.
so sorry.
That is so funny. Oh goodness.
Chewy was one of the most instrumental people in this podcast too, behind the scenes, because he recorded all your predictions, which I still have to go through all of them, and maybe just individually with us three we can kind of go through some of those, even like online or something like that, just to see what you've created.
Yay!
See
I have
all
to
your-
see. I think I won.
I think you might have.
Yes.
We'll see. But
Thanks.
did you
You
guys
said
have a favorite
Chewy. Thank
prediction,
you.
that you guys made in the series?
Wait, say that again.
Did you guys have a favorite prediction that you made in the series? Like, what was one thing that you predicted that you got right? That you
Well, I said
wrote
it
on?
just before. I got so excited
That I think that was
the
your
imposter.
shining-
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
how could I have gotten that?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was.
I mean, I'm sure other people have too, but
yeah.
that was very satisfying. I feel
Yeah.
like the Scabbers prediction was very satisfying.
Yeah,
for
that
me,
was great. Yeah.
Only because there was not a doubt in my mind.
It all just came
It
together.
clicked in a way that was
I don't remember
satisfying, only because of the timing and the 13 years, and I was like, there it is.
Yeah.
And a lot of
Because you
predictions never
wrote
felt
everything
like that.
down.
It was more of well,
Yeah.
true. A lot of other predictions were more of throwing something out there, and then some of them stuck, and that's fun too.
Oh, that was
but
my
I feel
favorite.
like those early predictions were fun just because we actually knew we were hot on the trail. You know, we were like chasing down the leads there. So yeah, I would say the Goblet of Fire predictions and Scabbers, those were some highlights. For
Well,
me.
maybe you beat me then. I don't remember.
No, I mean you guys were pretty close. Danny was casting a wide
Yeah, I was
net,
gonna say
throwing everything out there.
if we were even tied, it definitely goes to you because I just said way too much. So
if
it's
it
not
goes
a
on,
fair
if it's
comparison.
on like proportionally,
yeah.
Jen, you would destroy Danny.
I predicted
Yeah.
1,000 things.
You made like
so.
10 predictions and like 9 of them was true.
Yep.
Danny made like 10,000 and 9 of them
Wow.
were true.
Yeah, so it's a bad ratio.
There is an episode that I would love for us to listen to again because you asked us like to predict what would happen in the rest of the book, like in the series.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I remember going on and on about Dumbledore and what I thought was gonna happen, but I don't remember it. But I was like, oh, what
That-
things
I'm
were
gonna
I
find that and
close
hear
to,
that.
and what things were we so far off?
And I just thought of the moment of predicting that either Fred or George would die. Because that also was a moment of clarity for me when I think I was saying something and I was like, oh my goodness, they're not both going to survive.
Yeah.
Because they're twins. So it'd be so easy to kill one of them. But
Oh,
I
and
don't know if
then
there were any other
Snape,
really-
how I thought he was always good.
And I wasn't so convinced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some people still aren't.
Well. The ultimate questions. Is Snape good?
Here's smirk.
And it is kind of fun too because it was in my perspective, just sitting back and listening to you guys do your predictions, it was so fun because there were times where you guys just nailed it and me and Kristen just had to keep our mouths shut or we just give each other a look or like something. We were like sweating over here. And the Goblet of Fire one was particularly fun. I think that was one of the best moments in the podcast because we were still at a pace where we were going faster through the series. And like you guys, Jen just got it. Like one of my favorites was in the third one too, where Danny just sent me a bunch of voice notes of like how much he got in that series, and that was great. But then when you guys piece everything together in the fourth book, because really you shouldn't be able to piece the things together. And then when you got that, I remember sitting here like sweating, and then everyone's like mentioning it in the chat too. I just became good at gaslighting, where I was like, I don't know if that's really gonna happen.
Oh yeah,
don't think
I
so."
know. Yeah.
I felt so bad. But toward the end of the podcast, when you guys started nailing like Horcrux predictions or like what is what in the series too, that was so fun for me because it really made me feel like a first time reader again. It made me feel like the places you guys are at in the book, like I would continuously go over like, okay, what are the Horcruxes? Where are they? And you guys would come up with locations. Like you even the idea of Horcruxes, when you guys predicted that earlier on before Horcruxes were even mentioned. And I'm like, you guys just had so many good moments in this, of good predictions that you guys don't even realize.
Yeah.
That when we go over some of the predictions and when we look at some of that stuff, I think you guys are going to be pretty blown away by some of the stuff that you actually look through in the series.
And I think
Yeah,
you were
that'd be
helped a
kinda
little
cool.
bit by your questions where you would ask us things that I don't know if you put anything in our minds, but you at least you did such a good job early on because I've listened to some of the episodes where you ask questions that then we realize are hinting at things later, which is so great.
Yeah.
But I feel like
think
then you could plant some seeds that maybe bloomed and blossomed into things. So if we got any guesses about some of the absurd stuff, we maybe can't take all the credit, but
it was fun, like
good.
sneaking
That Mad Eye
things in.
Moody one though, he didn't give us any tips on that.
I did.
Yeah, and what did we think about
Did
that?
he?
We thought it was Barty Crouch Senior.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the
Now
only.
I'm
So we
curious,
were a
like,
little bit
I was
off
gonna say just to like check
because
us a little bit.
okay,
It's not
all
like we
right,
nailed it,
but like pretty close.
because
Yeah,
our big
seriously.
thing was the map,
Mm-hmm.
and so Harry's looking at the Marauders map, and we're like, it's on the map. It has to be him. But then now I'm curious looking back, like
Yeah,
how
but
what
then
we
saying
were
that
exactly
it
thinking.
wasn't Mad Eye Moody, like how?
Right, we knew that it wasn't him, and we didn't
Yeah,
even
you're
remember
right. All
if
right,
he was swigging out of his
fine.
flask, did we? because that would have helped seal the deal.
I know that would have sealed the deal.
But then I think when that came up, we're like, oh yeah, of course. What?
Yeah.
He was. I remember that, but I wouldn't have put it together.
Right.
He just
So
seemed-
good though.
Yeah, that was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
And then watching the movie felt so different because we're like, what? They tell you from the beginning?
I know. I'm like, that
Drove
was
you
dumb.
crazy.
It's so much
Yeah,
more
terrible.
fun, but I guess they can't expand on it.
Yeah. And those are going to be some of the interesting choices in the show too.
And the stupid little tongue thing, like he's a
Oh my
lizard.
gosh, drives me
That
absolutely
was
crazy.
so weird.
Yeah.
Why?
That's how
Yeah.
his dad knows. Yeah.
That-
He's a
yeah.
snake
The
lizard.
the sneaky part of my questions was like one of the most fun parts for me, where I actually had to like put things into the podcast that fans who have read this would know, but I did that so many times, and that was like my favorite part of the podcast.
Yeah.
Like when I asked you guys a question, I mean, like the most obvious one was like, there's a a word that Harry Potter fans always
Yeah, that was good.
I like spelled
You
it out
did
for you
that?
guys. I did
Oh,
that
yeah.
a few times.
Sitting here and I was like,
I did that with a few different
Wait,
questions.
but I think
too.
I got you back because I said, "Oh, it has to be always," because that's for everything.
when we were wedding.
When we were wedding planning,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oop."
I know they spoiled it.
But then you said no.
no.
Well, because you have to gaslight. It's the only option.
It was so mean.
All's fair.
I know. I'm
It's not
sorry, I'm
fair. You're
sorry.
supposed to be on my side.
But all right, let's wrap it up. Let's go over the final of the entire series. Who is your hot tamale of the whole series? Who is your
Oh
I think we know
my.
Jen's.
favorite character? And what is your favorite moment in the whole series?
Ugh. I'm just gonna stick with Ginny as my hot tamale
Yeah,
because
she's a good hot tamale.
that's a
Yep.
good one. Favorite character and scene. Scenes are so hard because there's a lot of them.
There's a lot in there.
Some of them are really far away.
I know.
Mm.
What rises to the surface? Anything in particular?
It probably would just be like those ones, like those aha ones where you start like figuring out, like we were talking about the Mad Eye Moody, or like when we find about Snape, maybe. Like I liked,
those are
I liked the
big moments,
Discovery
right.
one, so that was those were my favorite. Those were the ones I was rushing to get
definitely.
to. And favorite character? Oh, that one's hard. I can't pick one. I like Hermione a lot.
Yeah.
Nice.
She's like relatable, and I could see myself in her sometimes.
Yeah.
So maybe her, since she's the whole way through the book.
Well, I'll say hot tamale. I'll give it to Ron.
Nice. Oh,
great one, yeah.
Ron.
I just feel like overall, he added such levity to moments, and he was such a good like encourager, and he kept things light and fun. And I don't think Harry could have done this without him. Same's true for Hermione, to be fair. And I think she had a lot more tangible contributions, but yeah. So recently, maybe that's how I viewed Ron. So hot tamale for sure. And I'm saying that partially so I can give the House Cup favorite character to Harry,
Yeah.
because I feel like by the end of it, he just deserved it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like it's a little cheating. You know, it's
Yeah.
it's his story, but I do feel like.
I like forget about him sometimes.
Well, I know, and even in the way we talk about a lot of
Bypass.
things,
It's just the
we
most
kinda-
obvious.
Yeah,
Like-
it's like a little too obvious,
Yeah.
but it does feel like it wouldn't be fair to the way I actually view the story if I gave it to anybody else, because maybe it's so obvious to people that they don't talk about Harry anymore, so he feels like the forgotten character even though he's the main character. So at the moment, he is not the forgotten character for me. He'll get my House Cup because I just feel like through and through we saw his arc, and it was great and it was satisfying. So, and I related to him in some ways too. It felt like in his flaws, they were reasonable. It was like you see the growth, you can root for him, but you see a good heart. So, Harry, harder to choose the best moment though.
Yeah, it's one of the toughest.
So
yeah.
tough.
Or like even just favorite chapter. Was there like a chapter that stuck out to you guys most?
Yeah, because I remember every chapter from the series.
We should. We went 3 at a time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I still remember. Yeah, we did go through this. I still remember my first reading through. I mean, I was in high school, so it was a different reading experience. But reading through The Cave, I still think is my favorite chapter of the whole series because of how dark and action-packed and like intense it was. I still remember like not being able to read fast enough, but not being able to read slow enough. Like it was like agony. I had to read like paragraphs over again because I wanted to get to the next one, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
I had to reread that last one because I didn't know where I was going, and I was like, it was so discombobulating. But I remember that chapter so much because it was like culminating at this moment, trying to figure out what they were doing, where they were going, and I still remember that chapter so clearly on my first read. But that was, I mean, I was in high school. Maybe it's a bit more like memorable when you're going through it, especially because like people are still talking about the series then. That was when the books had just come out. So it was probably a little bit different from reading it in like the waves that we read it in, which maybe it's a little less memorable for certain chapters and or moments. Or
Did you?
I think it's just the way I read things.
Yeah.
Also,
for sure.
I just remember it in like a lump sum.
Yeah.
Did you have other friends that were reading at the same time for as they were coming out? And then like, was it a race?
Weirdly,
I'm just curious.
I remember.
It would be for me.
I don't remember a ton of other friends that I had at the moment reading it. I remember people that I played soccer with. Like I remember when I was in middle school and talking about it with your brother to some extent.
Really?
Yeah, I was playing rec soccer and we were on opposing teams for rec soccer, but we played on the same traveling team. And I remember we were just sitting there talking about it, and Dan, one of our other like intermediate, not this Dan, another Dan, came and was talking about the series. And I hadn't read it at that point, and I remember I finished it, and then I think I talked to like Eddie and Peter at practice about like, you know, where I was in the series or something like that. I forgot exactly what it was.
So funny.
But I still have like a weird memory of that. But when I read it, it was very much like individual. And then I would read things online, and I would read theories of things that were going to happen in between the series. So it was still like individual, but you're part of this larger
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
It was just such a fun experience.
I can't only imagine.
Yeah.
I think I'll say my favorite moment probably, or scenes that stood out, because we've covered some of those already a little bit. Like Diagon Alley was, stood out in its own way. The Triwizard Tournament, I feel like, is defining to the series for me. When I think of the series, I do go back to that. That's one of my first thoughts. All of the events of the Triwizard Tournament, specifically the one on the lake for some reason.
Yeah, that's true.
Goblet of Fire, very influential in the way I view the whole story. I think it's the right middle ground of playful and warm, mysterious, and then starting to get dark as well at the end. So it kind of sums it up in my mind.
That's great.
I think I actually thought of things. I think I want to give the hot tamale to Mrs. Weasley.
Oh,
that's a great one.
Yay!
That's a great one.
Especially at the end.
Yeah. I just loved that fire and, her and Mr. Weasley with her love potion.
Oh gosh, that's right. and their nickname or something too.
Molly Wobbles.
Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah. So I'll give that to her. And then I think I want to give the house cup to Dumbledore.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love that he acknowledges he's flawed.
Yeah.
He made mistakes. He made mistakes when he was younger. He tried to account for them as he got older. He made mistakes when he was older, but he never claimed to be perfect. People tended to view him that way, but I just love the complexities behind him And I guess some of my favorite moments were his quotes at the end of the last book. Just like the wisdom. I can't remember specifics, but I just remember really, really liking that. Like the conversations
in
that he
the
had with
King's
Harry
Cross and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. So I'd go with that.
Yeah.
It's great.
I was like, when's he in King's Cross? Yeah, so true.
I'm not gonna pick my typical favorite characters for all this kind of stuff for hot tamales. I'm gonna give a hot tamale this time to Regulus. It was fun reading it this time and being like thinking of
nice.
just what that I would again. You were even saying this, Jenn. Like a series on him would be so good, so fascinating, and he's like an underwritten character, but it's great. It's got such a fascinating backstory. Just to see like how he left. I think he has a lot of hot tamale energy. I would love a series on him. I think he'd be a great like anti-villain, like someone who goes back and forth and like finally makes a good like a decision for the good. I think that'd be such a good one. So he's kind of my hot tamale.
Yeah.
My favorite character in this read,
Which was how many reads for you by now?
it's like, I don't know. I lost count.
Wow.
15, 16.
Oh, really? Like
Oh,
up
wow.
there?
Yeah, it's
Wow.
Cause I would always just have this on listening to it somewhere. So I've like lost track of how many times I've actually done it. But I've probably read it through 6 or 7 times and probably listened to it through like 10 times.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a lot.
So you
Just
never
have long
stopped,
drives.
basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just continual.
Favorite character this series and read through was probably Ron. I think I have to give it to Ron in this one. I just love his loyalty. He's been one of those characters who's like slowly risen up in the rankings for the last few years, and I initially loved him, but I didn't. He wasn't like he's like too typical of a favorite character. But this time I read him, and I think he's like so integral to the trio. Again, even what you said, Danny, bring levity to certain situations and like really like letting the trio go on in the 4th or in the 7th book, just really like pushing them on. He abandons them, but then comes back and like is very gung ho about things. Reading him this time was just really fun. Like seeing how he works is all like his inner workings was really great. And then favorite moment in this series, and this is like a very typical one that people give, but the Mirror of Erised chapter just struck me so much. Like when I was reading that for this time, I did like even well up a little bit. Like I teared up at that chapter because I think it's really one of her best written chapters ever. Just of what Harry desires. Like it's the first time he sees his parents, the first time he really can recognize what his desires are and how much he desires his parents. And then how that curtails with the end of the book where he sees his parents' grave and he just wants to like go down and be with them. And then the very, very end of the book where he like actually sees them again and is like on the verge of death and is acceptant of it because he is going to see them and he's going to spend time with them. I'm like, how the Mirror of Erised just like has echoes in the rest of the series is just perfect writing. I think it's so exceptional. I think it's so good. So those are mine for this read.
And Dumbledore had the sock, right? And the Mirror Erised.
Yeah, exactly.
We never got the
And
full-
how?
I
Yeah,
know. I thought we would get that.
I know,
Oh,
right?
Brandon still to
I
me.
know.
And
One
then
of-
itch
I
of
know.
one of
yours.
many.
His sister knitted it for him.
Yeah, that is my prevailing theory.
I think it's a great one. I think it's a good theory. That's a fun thing too. We can come up with like different side canons and side theories about certain things. So it's fun. But yeah. Well, thanks for joining us on this journey of Harry Potter and the First Time Readers. Until next time. That's it.
Wait, we have a celebration.
What, should we pop champagne right now?
Pop a little champagne.
Champagne.
Let's celebrate.
Whoa.
I'll
It's
do a little
bittersweet
celebration.
celebration.
Yeah. You can get some cups or mugs in my drawer too. Grab whatever. Was it under the couch?
Yeah, I kicked
You're
it.
storing the.
I was
the
like, I
champagne under the
cannot
couch.
bend down. No. Well, I was thinking, I was like, oh shoot, when should we do it?
I know. The end. We can pop it.
There we go.
And then did you say what kind of drink you were consuming, which is on theme?
Yes. This has gotten me a little like lightheaded. Dragon's Milk Reserve.
Well, did you read
S'mores.
the
It's
ABV?
11% alcohol content.
Yeah.
Have you eaten?
Huh?
Like his face. Well, good thing it's got carbs. You're good.
Yeah, seriously. This is like one of those golden monkeys, or like what are they? Whatever.
Oh,
those are.
yeah.
Golden victories,
Yeah.
whatever they're called.
I know what
Golden-
you're talking about. The Golden Monkey sounded right.
The
but I
golden
actually
victory was
forgot.
one that he drank in your first date, right, or something like that. What was
Oh,
no.
moment of clarity.
Moment of clarity, that's right,
Yeah.
Which is hysterical. And then we had it recently together.
Yep. On the anniversary.
It's
beer.
a stout.
Oh.
Is it any good?
I used to love stouts, and then it's not my favorite anymore. But it was decent. This beer snob over here has turned me into this like crazy person. I like know what I like, and which is nuts.
Bless him.
Whoa.
Calm. Be calm.
Nicely
What's
done.
the spell for that one?
Yeah, I know. We need one.
Oh, Wes is coming to join the
Oh,
party
no.
too.
He wants to celebrate a little bit.
So how long have we been recording? Like the official? When was the first one?
First to last.
Well, the last doesn't exactly count, right? Because we've been on a hiatus for months right now.
Yeah. Let me actually look this up.
Side is uneven.
Oh.
It's shrinking.
Our first episode was published.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Oh, sorry, you're.
Oh, shoot. Let me get one.
you
To
gotta
a
get
great
up.
season 1 of Harry Potter and the First Time Readers.
Woo!
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
What a journey.
You're right over there.
What a journey. Yeah. Our first episode was published
Grapes and carbs. Apparently.
on July
It's plant-based.
15th. July 15th, 2022.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
Wait, that was our first date.
Really?
No. What?
July 15th?
Oh, wait. It was.
Oh, 20. Yeah.
It was published on our
because
first
we did.
date?
I did have a backlog of about 2 or 3 episodes before we started releasing it.
So we had recorded but didn't.
yeah,
That's funny.
Oh, wow.
'cause I think
Are
we
you sure it wasn't
recorded.
July?
July 15th was our first date.
Oh,
Wow.
July. Yeah, July. Wow. Pretty
That's
intense.
funny.
That's cool.
We'll never forget.
Like,
Just go back to
connections,
the
I love
log.
Mm.
Now I want to listen to it to hear our bickering.
Yeah, right.
You need to listen to the whole thing. Some people were asking even if you guys had planned to like listen to any podcasts on Harry Potter. And there's some good ones, there's some bad ones, but if you guys ever do a reread, I mean, you should obviously listen to ours because you guys, it's like a podcast about you going through your first read, so it'll be fun to listen to it. Like read a chapter or read the chapters
that
we
is
read,
interesting.
and then re-listen to it. What
It's
you guys
kind of
thought the
cool that
first
it's
time.
like
That'd be super fun.
documented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you guys want a deeper dive, it's almost a unanimous podcast that Harry Potter fans love, which is just binge mode Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone who listens to that, the hosts are hilarious. They're so good, and they go into like deeper parts about Harry Potter, and they like just break it down chapter by chapter. And it's one of my favorite podcasts, just in general. Like not even just because it's Harry Potter related, but I listen to them with everything that they do.
Can you
So
listen
they're
to
so
random
good.
episodes, or is it kind of
Yeah.
back to back? Oh, okay, that's nice.
Yeah,
too.
they do have like jokes that pile up on each other that they keep,
Mhm.
but you can listen to a random episode anytime. It's so good. It's so freaking good.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, maybe I'll have to.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we can get Brandon and Lauren to read this for their first time.
I am curious about that.
As you
That'd
guys
be
go through
funny.
your second time. I think that'd be fun.
They're dynamic. Although Brandon's like, they're both like me. They're not the biggest readers either.
But
Well,
I think they'll enjoy it.
I can
Yeah.
speak for Lauren. I don't really know.
And listening to this is just different too, because Jim Dale is so.
I
good.
know. That's what I told both of
So,
them.
yeah.
I was like, it's not even like, it's not boring at all because the voices. I love it.
Yeah.
Did you listen to Stephen Fry at all?
Yeah, they just released. You're able to purchase his now.
Oh,
In
really? You
America,
couldn't
yeah.
for a while?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, you weren't able to. Only in England or only in the
So
anywhere
wow.
except for America, you were able to purchase that. And in America, if you went on Amazon, you could not find it.
That's kind of crazy.
But they
actually.
just released it, and it's good. It's just different. His is like, yeah, this is an ongoing debate that people have.
Mm-hmm.
That most people like Fry's more, but he's much more like, he's less animated as a reader. He's like
yeah.
reading it like as a bedtime story, kind of.
That
Which
makes
Yeah.
feels
sense.
great.
Yeah.
But Jim Dale, like when I listen to the Jim Dale one, any character that I go to, I can be like,
You could
oh,
know.
it's this
Yeah,
character.
I know.
You
Which
know
I
immediately where you
like
wanna go.
that.
I'd
Yep,
rather
that is
yeah.
cool.
That's how it is almost for her second book series
Oh,
too.
really?
The
Does Jim
person
Dale-
reading it, no, it's not
Oh, that'd
Jim.
be
Dale.
magic.
I don't
Yeah.
think it is, but it's very similar to Jim Dale. Actually, let me see. I don't think it is though.
Yeah, play it. See if it is.
That'd be crazy.
Stephen Fry is good. I think he actually does the characters a bit more realistically, because like Jim Dale, people hate his Hermione. That's like the biggest thing that people hate.
Oh,
Is that he makes Hermione so like moany and like annoying.
Wow, you know what? I didn't listen to that much with
Yeah.
Jen, but I did listen to some, and
Yeah.
that does kind of track.
Yeah.
Harry.
Yeah, that's the thing
Yeah,
that fans
okay.
always make fun of. Like he always goes,
No, it's not Jim
Harry,
Dale.
or like whatever.
Yeah, it's like
And you're
that funny
come
voice. Yeah,
on.
you're right.
How do you? I can't really read that last name for the other. It
Sorry,
says
what am I doing?
right here, Robert.
Robert
Robert Galbraith,
Glenster.
That's
that's
who's
the-
That would
reading
be
it.
funny.
right?
Well, that's why at
She
first
found a
when
guy
I
named
read
Robert
it.
Galbraith. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and he
But-
does. People complain about Dale for like some of his interpretations of characters, like even how he did the Lestranges. They're not French, but he does them with a French accent because they're British. They married French guys, so you know.
Okay.
So people have like some complaints about certain things. I just still love Dale. I think he's an absolute incredible voice actor. Like again, for the simple reason that I could pick it up. I could listen to 10 seconds of any part of that and know what character it
know.
is, where it is in the series.
Which
like,
wasn't
it's so
always good for me because then I'm like, I feel like I know who this
Yeah,
is
for sure.
when I
Yeah.
was listening to it.
It's a great point.
It gave like a hint of like, you know, some of the voices that were in Harry's head or something like that.
Okay,
It kind of like
things,
hint
right.
at who
Yeah,
whatever
that's
was gonna
that's so
happen
true.
next. So that was some things that I might have like guessed my
Yeah.
theories because I could hear the
That even
voice
happened
change.
with Remember My Last. I think you guessed that it was Dumbledore based on the voice or something like that. Or who you guessed it was?
I know
someone.
there was someone, and I think you gaslighted me again.
You were wrong, and I think you had a few guesses. I think you were wrong in one. I think you first maybe guessed it was.
Oh, wasn't you? Were you guessing Trelawney for something?
Yeah, I think it was Trelawney for that one.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
What was
that would have been funny.
because the voice sounded like how he did.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Wow, look at you.
I remembered something.
I have a hard time too.
Maybe being back in middle school is helping my memory.
I know. It's like learning new things.
Oh, I'm learning everything again.
Well, trust me, I don't remember stuff that I did in college that I need for my own
yeah.
accreditation.
Same.
So that was fun. Good thing it's just continuing education and it's not serious. But yeah. Whoa.
The end of the
2022
journey.
to
2022. I know your first
2024.
date too.
That
Crazy.
is
Yeah, I
so
can't believe it was the same day. That's
crazy.
crazy.
I know.
Yeah, that was a Friday.
It was.
Yeah.
I just checked my
That's so
calendar.
funny.
It
There you
says
go.
salsa dancing. So.
Love that.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
crazy.
How did you had to check me?
That's so cute.
No, I knew there was a chance, but I was like 10% chance you're wrong. Let me check.
Wow, that's the
Let me
most
check.
confident I've ever been about anything.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
But I just we must have listened to the episode when it came out. Maybe not you, but and then I'm like,
I didn't
was
want to
that part
listen
that
to any
day?
of
Maybe
our
I didn't listen
stuff.
till the next
Your
day.
own
I don't
voice.
remember.
Ugh, I still don't like
But
listening.
now you're
to
like, yeah. You
It's
kinda get
better
used to
now,
it.
but
You're
it's
normal.
just-
Yeah, it's
yeah.
like,
Mm.
okay, that's how I sound. I've just accepted it.
And then it's
Yeah.
funny because I'm like, you can't really hear me, but I have not changed one bit
Yeah.
how I've talked.
Exactly. Yeah, I just had bumped you up a louder on this. That's all.
Ay, ay, ay.
And then if we accidentally swap mics, I'm
Mhm.
absolutely.
Oh, that happened one time, right? We
Yeah.
had
I had to swap the cables or something like that. It screwed everything up.
Danny screaming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm such a loud talker.
I know, I'm jealous.
She gets so excited, you know.
Yeah, I need to take some speech lessons.
But thanks for joining everyone online. It's great.
Yeah.
Thanks,
More-
fans.
more to
Thanks for
come.
sticking with us the whole
Yeah,
time,
that
too.
honestly was
Yeah.
so fun. I
Seriously.
feel like not only the feedback of them being
Yeah.
able to
Oh, yeah.
give you some things in the chat, but it feels fun because then it adds the camaraderie to it.
Mhm.
Because I feel like it was anyone listening to us was welcoming us to the world, kind of.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
like paving the path for us. So it feels cool to, I don't know, have those questions and that kind of engagement with people. I feel like it made us feel less alone in that journey, which I think was really helpful and fun.
Yeah.
It's all about the fans.
It really is. It's the community.
The
It's
community,
fans,
you know,
yeah.
it's such a cool part of the Harry Potter world.
Yeah, that's what makes the series fun and worth like watching or reading or whatever.
That must have been so fun for John, though. Like,
Oh my
he's
gosh, as a Kenyan.
he's typing in the chat, like, discussing what we're talking
was-
about.
I don't know
was-
how you did that.
Like,
I was
yeah.
so nerdy. It was peak enjoyment for me. So just I even just want to thank you guys for that too. That was like, yeah, you guys sacrificing your read, and just like even enduring this on some nights where like podcasting can be annoying. You have to come from work, and it's not the easiest thing in the world, but just sitting here and like talking about these books with you that I love, and like I'm like a Harry Potter nerd. I love it, but I always just had the series on just because I enjoyed it and it was fun. And then I started like really reading it more and more, and I started getting more into it. And I always wanted to have like first time experience with it again. And then Jen was like, "Hey, I'm reading it for the first time." I'm like,
Yeah. Do you know how many
As
times?
soon as you texted that, I was like, "Okay, well, we're starting this podcast." I was like, "How do I get this going in a way that they don't even know we're starting it?" Like how do I do
You
this?
did a great job.
So it was.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thanks for the reading. For me.
He always was like
Convincing
dangling
them.
this carrot in front of
Yeah.
me, though, like about Harry Potter.
Yeah.
It would come up in conversations and stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, like don't give it away. One day I'm gonna
Yeah.
read it. I literally would cover my ears when you guys
Yeah, I
were
know.
talking to other people. So one day I knew I was going to. There you
I'm glad
go.
that-
It just took me to convince you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Needed someone that was like very matter of fact
Yeah.
with doing it.
You didn't need theoretical stuff. You needed someone to be like, "Okay, you're reading it this day. Let's."
Yeah, I
start."
need discipline.
Let's walk through it together.
I still remember the whole conversation. That's what's so funny. I can replay it in my mind.
That's so funny.
Yep.
But
So-
it is so funny too, because everyone that is in our little community wants that same thing. They want what you guys had, to be able to like read it for the first time. So I cannot even express how much this meant to other people too, like
Yeah.
for the nerds in the Harry Potter world, for you guys to read it for the first time and like even sacrifice, because you would have, if you read this, you would have read it quicker than
Yeah,
someone else.
I know.
It would
We
have been
wouldn't-
like 3-4 months probably.
Yeah,
would've been
because
serious.
you would stop us at the
Yeah.
worst times.
I'm
It
so
was so
sorry.
annoying.
Yeah.
But that did help us appreciate a lot of things. Now maybe we went
Yeah.
No,
slower than
I
ideal,
do agree
Yeah.
with that.
but
But
it just meant that we really got to soak it in.
Yeah, for sure.
And rather than Netflix binging whatever, it was back to the good old days where you have
Yeah.
to wait a week for the next episode
Agreed.
or something. You know,
This is more
it felt like it
serial.
really
Yeah.
was like
oh,
that.
what
where
was that like?
we were like so eager
So
to
crazy.
read more. It was
I know,
great.
I know.
We would leave here and we would read when we got home.
Yeah.
Because we're like, yes, we can read the next part.
Finally, we could read the next few.
I
feel
know.
like that
I would
really
turn
enhanced
on my
the
audiobook like leaving the parking
Yep,
lot or
I love
whatever.
that. Oh, that makes me so happy.
So funny. Yeah,
It's a good series.
it was good. I know how it ends.
But this
And
is
I've
not
turned
goodbye.
into-
This is see you later.
Yeah, this is see
I
you later.
heard.
Not
Just
goodbye.
closing a chapter.
Yeah.
Well, when the series comes out, forget about it.
I know.
Of course,
We're
going
coming
nuts.
full circle. We're coming back.
And that'll be easy. Just watch something.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, we just went international.
That's
just
my
to go to filming
comfort.
locations.
It's gonna be great. I know.
Although audiobooks have become my thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many good readers. I'm excited. So we have lots of other stuff planned.
Woo!
Thanks for everyone for watching.
Thanks,
We'll,
fans.
We'll
Yeah,
jump
thanks,
back on.
guys.
We'll jump back on soon. Have a good night, everyone, or good morning, or good evening, or
Good morning, good
good
evening,
evening, and
good night.
good night.